Hey everyone, Charlie Morgan here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to book 20, 30, 50 or even upwards of 100 plus qualified appointments every single month for your business. This works for agency businesses, coaches, consultants and other B2B service providers in every niche. Now I've personally booked over 15,000 qualified calls using this exact method and others in the last 365 days. And in this document, this 65-page document, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about booking qualified appointments every single day with Cold SMS. If you want to download and edit this document, you can do so by heading to the link in the description to get completely free access to the resource and everything else included in that. So it's just in the description, school.com/academy. You can download this for free. But without further ado, let's talk about how to get some appointments. Okay, hey everyone, and welcome to the Cold SMS full guide, how to book 30 to 100 plus meetings per month for any sort of B2B agency, coaching, consulting business or service providing business. First of all, here's what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about what SMS Outreach is, the two-step process to booking calls with Cold SMS, the two-liner message and the exact messaging template that we use to book appointments through Cold SMS, why it's the most effective, what to expect, what metrics to use and what benchmarks to have to sort of reverse engineer your numbers, what niches to target, evaluating if your niche will work for SMS, local versus national targeting, conversion mastery. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of A2P verification and all the laws of sending SMS and getting those things all sorted. We're going to get into the actual two-liner message and talk about specifically exactly what to say to get responses to book appointments. I'm going to give you some examples and show you some actual templates that you can use. We're going to talk about value first versus direct pitch, how to handle calling people. So like once someone replies, how to call them, how to book them in, how to get an appointment actually scheduled from the SMS blasts. We're going to talk about GoHighLevel setup, sending your first batch, reaching the decision makers and actually sourcing leads for SMS and how to do that, using different softwares and free methods as well. We're going to talk about managing the system, handling objections from people that might not want to book a call, but you can still get them booked in. And then a bunch of other stuff around tracking, optimization. So this video is going to give you the full stack A to Z process that I've personally used to book myself and my clients hundreds of thousands of qualified appointments for business to business consumption. So without further ado, welcome to the SMS Cold SMS full guide. In this resource, you'll learn how to book 30 to 100 plus meetings per month purely with a unique Cold SMS strategy that I've again used to book hundreds of thousands of appointments myself and for my clients. By the end of this video, you will have a complete battle-tested system for booking qualified sales calls using Cold SMS. You'll understand the why, the what, the how, with the exact steps, scripts, automations, and metrics to scale predictably. So what are we doing here? Well, what are we dealing with? What is SMS Cold Outreach? It's the process of sending short, personalized text messages to people who have never heard of you before with one clear goal, which is to start a conversation that leads to a meeting, call, or a sale. Now, unlike warm outreach, where the person already knows your name, your brand, or who you are, SMS starts from zero. You're building trust and curiosity in literally just 2 lines. And that's the entire game. It's building trust and curiosity in literally 2 lines. So the strength of SMS lies in its immediacy because your message will land straight on their phone within seconds. There's no inbox filters, no clutter, no social media people that you're up against. It's you, your words, and their attention. And a great SMS campaign, it doesn't feel like spam. It feels like a real message from a real person. The best SMS outreach campaigns are short, relevant, and feel human, like they've been sent by you personally. When you use verified mobile numbers, respectful language, and stay compliant with all the rules, you can reach decision makers directly, have real conversations, book appointments, and turn strangers into clients like that. Now, you want to think of this like a modern evolution of cold outreach. It's faster than email, it's more personal than a call, and when done correctly, it is absurdly effective. This thing is, if you can nail this, it kills. So, the entire process for booking appointments through Cold SMS comes down to 2 simple steps. It's simplicity and speed. And the first stage of this 2-step process focuses on sparking a positive response with a short, natural feeling text. And the second part of this process turns that reply from someone into a real conversation through a phone call and an ongoing conversation to then book in. So all we're doing here, we're not building some crazy NAN automation. We're not creating some fancy, massive Miro board workflow. This is a 2-step process, and it is as simple as this. When it's done right, these 2 steps can consistently land you appointments from these leads. And here's a visual representation of what the lead will be exposed to. So all it is we open with something called the two-liner, which is a simple message designed to evoke a positive response. If they don't respond to the two-liner, then we follow up on them once. If they don't respond to that, we follow up again. If they don't respond to that, we leave them alone. If they respond to the two-liner, then we call them up to try and book the appointment, and we send them a text message to try and get them to book an appointment. If they don't answer or reply or answer the phone, then we follow up on them 8 times effectively until they do. And it might seem extreme, but it works really well. And 8 follow-ups is sort of the limit you can go before like you get into trouble. So if they don't respond to follow-up 1, it's 2. If they don't respond to 2, it's 3 until we go until they reply, basically, or tell you to fuck off. Then we have a book call. And it is literally that. There is only a matter of 12 different messages or pieces of marketing stimuli that the prospect will be receiving. So the 2-liner message is where we need to start, because this is the first point of contact. It's a short, curiosity-driven text purely designed to start a conversation. So with the 2-liner, with the opening message, we're not trying to book a call. We're not trying to convince them of anything. We're not trying to generate leads. All we're trying to do at this point is just get a simple, positive response starting a conversation that in some way, shape or form takes the conversation in the direction of that person exploring your service and to see if you're a fit, okay? So what this basically does on a really high level is identifies who you are, keeps everything very casual and very human, lets them know what you do, and asks a simple yes or no question tied to what they do. So an example of a 2-liner opening message, or 1-liner in this case, would be, hey John, are you open to taking more roofing jobs in Dayton, Sam? Any roofer that receives that is going to say yes because they think you might be a prospect, okay? And we can then use that yes to start a conversation. They've got a foot in the door of the conversation, and we can sort of traverse that sales gap through a call or through texting them back. If they say no, they're not, then you move on. So there's no point in trying to convince people who have said no, just don't bother. And if they say yes, then you move to stage 2 immediately. So that's stage 1. It is literally just the 2-liner message. But stage 2 is texting and calling them and actually booking the call. So the purpose of this stage is to qualify and convert that interest into a call or a meeting, okay? And so what this does on a high level is removes any idea that it might be a scam. It gives them a more sort of high level breakdown about what you do, and obviously it allows them to book in a time for you to talk to them. And so, you know, what you might do is you might respond saying like, hey, perfect, that's great to hear you're taking on more jobs. Are you free later today or tomorrow for a quick call? Okay, and this could be a quick 15-minute sort of triage call because it's very cold. They have no idea what you are or what you do, and they think you might actually be a prospect, right? And so you can follow that up with an immediate call. And so what we're doing when we respond to people in stage 2 is we're texting them back to try and move the conversation forward towards an appointment, but then we're also calling them physically, okay? This is simple and fast. The thing about this is when it comes to stage 2, you need to move to stage 2 immediately. Like the second that someone responds, you need to be on them within 5 minutes. If you leave it an hour or two, the chances of you booking the appointment go way down. You need to be on it fast, okay? So I'm going to give you all the tools you need to craft the messaging of both stages and obviously more as well. So let's talk about why are we using SMS? Like why are we not using cold email, cold DMs, cold calling? Well, SMS works really well because attention is so scarce these days. And the job of outreach is obviously to be seen quickly by the right person and to get their attention. But the reason SMS wins often is because of 4 compounding advantages. First of all, visibility on the lock screen. So text actually appears as a phone notification. There is no, it's like a guaranteed way to get the person's attention, because social media, you can get buried in the inbox. Email, you might not get delivered properly. Cold calling, you can get your call screen, but SMS, straight to the lock screen, right? And people carry this thing around in their bloody pocket, so you can just be there all the time. A short line gets read instantly, often without opening the app, and SMS open rates are reported to be in the 90s, and email open rates are reported to be in like the 20s to 50s. So we can get like basically effectively 2, 3, 4, sometimes even 5 times the open rates from cold email. Curiosity effect, it's short, it's unexpected, and it's unfamiliar, so it earns a glance. Speed conversation, many people reply within minutes, so you can qualify and pivot the call the same day. And we use GoHighLevel pipelines, and these can be optimized quickly to move prospects from the first text you sent through to the book call with minimal manual work. And also fewer infrastructure headaches. There's no months of domain warm-up or complex authentication. There are deliverability rules, and obviously you have to manage number health, and we'll talk about how to do that. But visibility is faster and way more controllable than cold email is, and literally you can start this within 3 days. And so for these 4 reasons, like SMS is it's a banging system. It works really well. So let's talk about some expectations, because let's say you want to get 20 plus calls a month, right? Let's say you want to book one call every day, every weekday. That might be nice, right? Just a nice consistent flow. Maybe you'll sign like 3 clients, 4 clients a month from that, just good qualified appointments, right? So let's translate the goal of inputs into what you can control. Let's translate the goal into inputs that you can control, and let's use some conservative benchmarks to build out a clear picture of what you'd need to be doing to start to book 20 calls a month. So I want to give you an idea here of what to expect if you want to book 20 calls a month. So let's say that your goal is to book 1 call a day from this. What do you need to do? What do you need to send? Okay. So we will use the average metrics that are expected with this system to reverse engineer and calculate a little metric roadmap. Now, what's important to know is you can book 100 calls a month, 200 calls a month with this. It depends on how many numbers you can get and how good you are at sending the messages, but 20 a month is pretty easy to do. Let me be honest. Imagine if you just have one qualified call every day. That, like, you know, it's not going to make you like $1 million every month, right? But you're going to be pretty happy with that. You know, one call a day, let's say that you're conducting like 15 of those, you know, every month, and, you know, you're converting like, you know, maybe one in every, I don't know, like 7 calls you do, like 5 calls you do or whatever. Yeah, one in every 5, that's 3 clients right there on a 20% conversion rate. And let's say that you're charging like, average LTV for a client is like 6K. Well, you just figured out how to make an extra $18,000 a month by sending a couple of lines of text. That's kind of what we're looking at here, right? It's very high leverage. So we will use the average metrics. So let's say that an average of 5% of leads we contact book a call, then all we need to do is send 500 messages to get 20 booked appointments. Now, let me make it clear that 5% is very high. And it's possible. I've seen 5% booking rates before. I've achieved them myself because I've got lots of practice doing this, but you probably won't be able to get that off the rip. Maybe you can, I don't know. Remember that pessimists are the best planners, so we need to be conservative. So here's a little booking rate metric benchmark for you. So the booking rate, or average appointment booking rate, so ABR, is the percent of initial contacts that become scheduled calls. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that the average ABR that you should expect from the system is 1%. So the average appointment booking rate is 1%. 2% is more likely to be what you will get. That's sort of more standard if you do this right and set this up using the system. However, 1% is, if you expect 1%, you're going to be pretty accurate in your calculations, okay? So we don't want to go for 2. We want to go for 2, but you're probably going to get 1 at a minimum. And so using the average appointment booking rate, you can calculate how many messages you need to send to reach your goal. So if you want to book 20 calls a month or just 1 call every weekday at a 1% ABR, then we need to send between 2 to 2,500 SMS messages every month, okay? And that's pretty simple because if you send 2,000, 1% of 2,000 is 20, okay? And so if you want to book double this rate, then you need to send 4 to 5,000 SMS messages. And if you want to book triple the rate, then you need to send triple. Now, obviously, you know, the better thing to try and do is to increase your ABR by being smarter with how you respond, quicker with how you reply, better on the phone, sending better opening 2-liners. But ultimately, like off the rip, you should be getting at least 1%. And so if you're sending, you know, 2,000 messages, what is that like? What's that? Something like 70 SMS messages a day, which is all done, by the way, automatically, so you don't have to do the manual work. You should be able to book a call a day. And that should get you to the point where you're making like 10 to 20K a month additionally in income just from SMS alone, maybe even more than that, depending on your ticket price. So it's a simple working model. Basically, you know, you want to be sending, I mean, I put 200 here, but you can do less or more. You want to be sending, you know, upwards of 200 texts per weekday using an automated and semi-automated workflow. Now, the reason it says 200 per weekday, I think, is because obviously, you know, if we've only got 20 days to do this in, then you'd need to send 100 texts per weekday if you're doing it on weekdays, right? So delivery is going to be 90%. You know, which means you're going to be getting 180 people actually seeing the message, because some, you know, 10% of messages won't deliver for whatever reason. If you get a 15% reply rate and a 5% respond rate showing interest, then you're going to get 10 interest prospects, and, you know, one warm follow-up prospect can book a fast follow-up, about 1 to 3 bookings per day when dialed in. So that's sort of what you're looking at here. You know, if we're sending 200 a day, then you can book between, you know, upwards of 3 appointments a day. It really is possible to do that. So this SMS system thrives or dies based on 2 major factors, which is honestly your niche and your data. So the thing about this is, like, you can have impeccable copywriting skills, you can have impeccable speed to lead, but fundamentally, if your niche doesn't suit SMS and the data that you collect to do the messages from isn't very good or clean or clear, then you're not going to get results, okay? So the niche and targeting strategy is crucial here, because the best niches for SMS are the ones where owners answer their mobiles, have real pain, and can say yes without them having to go through a committee. If you're in a niche with just landlines, slow decision cycles, no clear owner, numbers are not used. No copy in this world will save you, and this section will tell you what a good niche and a bad niche is for this system. So what I've done is created a scorecard for you to basically determine whether or not you think that this niche that you're in right now could be a fit for SMS, okay? And basically we've got an 8-point scorecard to rate your niche on the effectiveness of SMS. And you want to rate each section of scorecard from 1 to 3. And then you're going to tally them all up at the end. So if you get anything above a 16, then it's a green light and SMS is probably going to work. If you get anything below a 10, then I would honestly recommend you still try it, but you're going to run into lots of major issues if you get significantly lower than this, right? So not every niche is going to be suited to this, but some will. And so you can use the scorecard right now as an action item to determine that. So first of all, you're rating all of these on a scale of 1 to 3. So owner mobile presence. Are owner or manager numbers public on Google Maps directories or databases like Apollo, D7 or Lusher? Ticket size and urgency. Is there an urgent, high-value job or service they want ASAP? Like roofing, remodeling, staffing, and real estate, they all have built-in urgency. Okay, so do they actually want something right now? Reply culture. Do they text at work? Trades and owner-operators live on their phones with a huge reply advantage. Are you contacting a business, not a customer? Because, look, let me be honest with you. B2B mobile businesses, B2B business mobiles, they have lower risk when you identify yourself on opt-outs. And consumer B2C SMS cold can be difficult. It can work, but it can be difficult. Easy qualification. Can a single yes move the deal forward? Niches with clear next steps convert over SMS. Data coverage. Can you scrape or source 3,000 to 5,000 records with names, phones, and cities without volume growth tools? If you can't get the data, then you can't do the system. It's as simple as that. Local proof language. Can you use city names and small numbers? Can you use local cues like two estimates and data and feels human and obviously lift replies? Fulfillment fit. Can you deliver something tangible within 24 to 72 hours? Speed converts curiosity into book calls. So what you want to do is ask yourself on these little metrics here on a scale of 1 to 3, 3 being good, 1 being bad. So are owner or manager numbers available on Google Maps? If you're in the real estate niche and you're working with real estate agents, then you're going to get a 3 because they all give their mobile number out, right? But if you're working with dentists, probably not because no one gives their mobile out, okay? So you're going to do that for all these to do it right now, and then you can just get an understanding of whether your niche is going to be good for SMS or bad for SMS. Even if it's bad, I'd still watch this through because there's going to be things you learn here that will help you with other outreach systems, but also there's no harm in trying it and trying to figure it out because if you can do that, you'll make a lot of money. So local and national targeting. So look, there's 3 types of targeting when it comes to SMS, and we're going to be talking more about the American market here because you can target on a city level, like a local level. You can target on a regional level, like a state level, or you can target on a national level, like a country level. And so what you want to do with your targeting for these campaigns is start locally, scale regionally, and then scale nationally. Because local builds proof, tightens data, and shows you what works. And so what you want to do is you want to start by just starting with like the little cities, right? Not even like, I don't mean they have to like little cities necessarily, but you start city by city. And the reason you do this is because city names and small numbers feel real, okay? You know, where you're reaching out to someone in like, I don't know, like Sugar, I think there's a place in Texas called Sugarland, which is an incredibly American name for a city. But Sugarland, Texas. If you reach out to everyone in your niche there might only be like, I don't know, like 30 people or something. But you can compile these cities where you get a few cities and you get a bunch of people per city. And that way, it's a little bit more manual and annoying, but you just start locally and you just get some momentum with this system, warm your numbers up, and then you can go sort of more stateside. So local targeting works because it's easier to fulfill, clean a list from small scrapes, and your data's going to be better. You stay local when you need testimonials and fast wins, or when you rely on local delivery or partners. You probably don't have to rely on local delivery or partners, but if you were like a film production company and you were only working in the state of Texas, which would be a very big coverage, now that I think about it, then you need to stay local, right? So regional and national targeting, this supports higher volume once messaging is dialed. It keeps calendars full by stacking multiple metros or cities or towns, and you can eventually scale up to target entire regions or states or even countries. But you shouldn't really look to target an entire country or an entire state until you've won a little bit in like a couple of cities or towns, okay? And also as well, like, dude, if you get good at this, you're going to be able to send like 1,000 messages and literally receive like probably 100 positive replies, maybe more than that, like 200 positive replies. And you need to be able to call those people instantly. And if you get 100 replies instantly, then you're not going to be able to call them all immediately. So you need to make sure you do this when you've got proper infrastructure. So as far as conversion mastery is concerned, there's a few things that we need to consider before we start setting up the system. And there are some things that if you miss and if you fail on a sort of fundamental principle level, you're really going to struggle to book appointments. And so let's just talk about some basics of conversion mastery. So let's be very clear on what we need to do to outreach successfully. Again, this isn't necessarily just for SMS, but it's going to work for other cold outreach systems. But let's get into it. So stay consistent and never skip days. So consistency compounds, and it's better to text a few hundred prospects every day than blasting thousands at once. SMS is momentum driven, volume and rhythm matter more than intensity. And what this is about is it's about pipeline. It's about having a pipeline of prospects that are at different stages. And what you don't want to do is do a massive blast once every month, because then you jam the pipeline and you jam your ability to deal with that pipeline and keep it flowing. So what you want to do is set a goal where you send a certain number of SMS texts every single day without question. Every single weekday it happens without question, consistently. Even if it's just 50 a day or 100 a day, just keeping that thing flowing every single day for like a year. That's how you're going to build this point where you're just signing like tens of thousands of dollars every single month, hundreds of thousands of dollars every single month in just business through that just piece of consistency. Don't like get lazy and be like, oh, I need to make up for it, so I'm going to send 2,000 texts in one day. You'll screw your number health, you'll flag yourself, and you're not going to be able to deal with what comes from it anyway. Okay. Speed to lead is everything. Like, this is crucial. Like, the faster that you respond to positive replies, the more meetings you'll book. Getting a positive reply is not the hard part. The hard part and the skill is in being really fast with how quickly you deal with leads that come in. So every minute that passes lowers conversion. If you call within 1 to 5 minutes, you're going to be getting insane booking rates. You don't want to be calling hours later. Like, even to the point where have your notifications on at like 3 a.m. I'm not saying that you necessarily need to disturb your sleep for this, but you need to be like on the ball all the time with notifications on, constantly round the clock, ready to call people at a moment's notice. And don't worry, again, I'm going to show you the exact script you need to use to call people. I'm going to show you exactly how to deal with replies and exactly what softwares to use to call people and stuff. But it's amazing how quickly you can get results if you're quick on the phone. So speed communicates professionalism and separates you from spammy competitors. So, you know, if you text someone right now who's never heard from you and they respond saying, yeah, I'm open to this, and you call them within 2 minutes, they know who you are, they know why you're calling, they're familiar with you, you've got a foot in the door, they're going to answer. But if you leave it like 4 or 5 hours, they'll be like, who's this guy? I can't remember. And then you're fucked, right? Track everything, every metric matters. If you don't measure, you can't optimize. So track reply rate, positive reply rate, positive reply rate, booked call rate, and cost per booked call, okay? I can't tell you how important it is to track your metrics, so I'm not even going to bother trying, but just track your metrics and keep a log. And I'm going to give you a spreadsheet on how to track them later. So you want to be scientific and you want to test, not guess. So approach outreach like an experiment. So you want to change one variable at a time, message niche or timing, and record the results. You want to avoid sort of random changes based on gut feeling, because science will beat emotion every time. And this is sort of number 5, is you want to iterate, not overhaul. So when your results dip or when things don't go quite your way, don't just throw out the whole system. Just identify the weak point or the bottleneck. It's usually going to be the offer, the timing, or the messaging angle, or how quickly you're responding. So just tweak little things one at a time, test again, let data guide you, because big emotional pivots will destroy consistency and destroy momentum. So you want to be scientific and you want to iterate your way to, you know, a call a day or 2 or 3 calls a day. You do not want to just have these massive emotional overhauls where you don't get any results for like 3 days, so you suddenly just change everything. Don't do that. Iterate it slowly, find the bottlenecks and work from there. So you want to build systems, not one-off campaigns. So you want to treat outreach like a machine, not a task. You want to use workflows and automations to handle lead input, texting, replies, and pipeline updates. Your goal is to create a repeatable, measurable, hands-off process and not to be texting manually forever. So every time you do something manually, ask yourself, how can I automate this? How can I systemize this? How can I get an AI to do this or another human? Protect deliverability. So healthy numbers obviously equal reliable outreach. You want to rotate phone numbers. You want to warm them up, verify contacts. And ultimately, you want to stay under sending limits. Like, there are limits to how many texts you can send, and I'm going to walk you through all these verification things. But you want to have lots of phone numbers. You want to rotate them consistently. You never want to send massive blasts from one single number. And once your deliverability drops, it's a very long climb back. So be very careful with that. Maintain data hygiene. So clean data hygiene is so crucial to your success with SMS, because before you're sending, you want to scrub your lists. You want to remove landlines. Do not text landlines. Remove duplicates. Don't text people twice. And remove bad data. You want to segment leads by niche, location, or company size. And clean inputs equal clean results. So the input of the system ultimately is the leads, right? And the quality and the cleanliness of these leads, i.e., have you got duplicates? Have you got old phone numbers? Have you verified the numbers? Have you got landlines? Is the data just bad, or is it just shitty or just old? You can't get good outputs if you give good inputs, right? So just remember that. So number 9 is respond intelligently and build systems for follow-up. So don't just chase new leads, nurture replies, use tagging and smart list features to segment people who are interested, who aren't asking you to contact them now, but maybe later. So let's say you receive like a text saying, hey, I might be interested, or I might be open in December, right? you want to have a section of your pipeline that says not now. And we're going to set this up and go high level later. Follow up next week, etc. Half your meetings are going to come from consistent, organized follow-ups. And like, I'm genuinely saying there's like 50, 60, maybe even 70% of your leads will come from you just calling people, like, and texting them over and over and over again, and just showing up for them every single day for like a week or two and just calling them constantly, right? So you want to treat outreach like a discipline, because SMS isn't a side hustle trick. It's a system that rewards precision. So you want to operate it daily, like a routine, you know, track, test, iterate, improve. It's a discipline. It's a habit. It's going to compound into predictability and control. You don't want to see SMS as this sort of like random shiny object that you just blast every now and then. It needs to be like going to the gym. It needs to be like brushing your teeth. You just need to do it every day, consistently, without any emotion behind it, just getting it done, no matter how good or how bad the day is, over and over again. And if you do that and you do all the follow-ups, you're going to get there. So let's talk about understanding SMS laws and carrier rules in plain English. So something that's really important for you to understand before we get into this system is how to get around, or not get around, but how to comply with the laws. And what we're going to do in this video is talk specifically about the laws for the USA, because that's the biggest market. There are going to be laws and rules from the government and from the carriers for SMS that you have to follow. And I know that certain European countries don't allow you to do it. In the UK and the EU, you've got GDPR. In the US, you've got TCPA. And so you have to understand these laws. And I'm just going to start by saying something here. This is not legal advice. I'm not giving you any legal advice on how to manage this. You need to do your own research. And what I'm about to tell you as far as advice for understanding these SMS laws is my personal experience and is not advice from a legal perspective, okay? Because laws and carrier policies change fast. And you need to always check the latest rules for your country, and please do your diligence from a legal perspective beyond me just saying what I'm saying right now, okay? Because this is not legal advice, and I don't want anyone being like, oh, I got in trouble with the government, it's Charlie Morgan's fault. No, it's not. I'm just going to give you some broad strokes overviews, and you are responsible for the rest of the actions from a legal perspective. So, in the USA, we have the TCPA. And the TCPA is the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, and it governs calling and texting. And it restricts how you contact mobile numbers, it requires honoring opt-outs, and penalizes unsolicited automated marketing without consent. And so what this basically means, as far as the TCPA goes, if you want to be compliant with it, this is not legal advice, then this means you need to identify yourself in every message, avoid deception or false promises, stop immediately if someone tells you to stop, use place names or real details to prove you're human, keep your open and short, ask a yes or no question, and avoid links in your first text. So do not send links in your first text, really at all. Target real businesses with commercial intent. Prioritize owner-operators who list their number publicly. Verify all numbers and separate landlines from mobiles before importing. Start with low volume while testing. Respect quiet hours and frequency caps. So don't go texting people at like midnight, right? If asked, say where you found the number, and keep a light audit trail. So list source, import date, message dates, and opt-outs. Because if someone ever asks you like, hey, how did you find my number? You need to be able to tell them, but otherwise they can report you, right? And so the simplest mindset, or the safest mindset, is simple. You want to treat compliance as part of your outreach system, not an afterthought. So don't fuck with this. Like, do not fuck with the TCPA. Do not fuck with GDPR. Do not try and get around it. Do not try and hack it. Do not try and overcome it. Comply with it. You will get worse results because you've got to comply to the law. You know, there are things you could do that, and I'm not suggesting you do this because it'd be stupid. You'd get in trouble. There are things you could do that like might not be in compliance with the TCPA, but if you do them, you're going to get in trouble. You're not going to be able to do it for a long time, right? So just comply. So we need to get A2P 10 DLC. And A2P basically stands for application to person messaging, okay? And so, you know, you're going to be using an application like HighLevel or Twilio to send text messages. And so what we need to do is register for A2P. And we also need to register for 10 DLC. So 10 DLC refers to 10-digit long code numbers registered for business use. Now, US carriers now require all brands and all campaigns to register so they can manage traffic, control spam, and hold senders accountable to what they're sending. So if you plan to send any consistent volume through Twilio or GoHighLevel, which are the platforms that we're going to be using to set this up, you need to register for these things before scaling, specifically for A2P. Unregistered businesses and numbers can get throttled and blocked fast. So even in B2B, careless sending can burn numbers and kill deliverability, okay? Like even like obviously B2C is way tighter, but B2B, you still need to be careful with this. So the rule is simple. You want to respect consent, content quality, and opt-outs. And before starting the system, we need to obviously do this application process to get approved. And it should take a couple of days to get this approved. And once it's approved, you can send. Until you've got this approved, you cannot send messages, okay? And so what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through how to register for A2P verification so you can send. So we will mainly focus on getting A2P verified through GoHighLevel. It's a CRM software that we're going to be using to send SMS messages, manage replies, and more. And if you're unfamiliar with GoHighLevel, then there's a beginner course on all of its features here. So if you have no idea what GoHighLevel is and you've never used it before, which might be unlikely, but if it is the case, you need to have a pretty basic understanding of how it works and how it functions. And so what you can do is just click this resource here, and it will show you pretty much how to master it and just kind of understand it at a basic level, right? So a quick note is that I'm going to be covering how to set everything up from this system from an A2P perspective, but GoHighLevel, it is overwhelming. Like if you've never heard of it or used it before, there's not much point in me walking you through all this setup until you understand it on a basic level. So I would go and watch that video first if you are a beginner to GoHighLevel. Now GoHighLevel is not free, but you can have a free trial for 2 weeks with all of its features. And if you use this link here, it is my affiliate link, so I'd appreciate it. You get a 14-day free trial here, and it's then I think it's like $97 a month or something. So it's pretty good, okay? So if you use the link above, you can click on the start and extended free trial and fill in your information until you're in the agency dashboard. Now what you can do, and I'm not going to suggest you do this necessarily, is you can always appeal in the subscription section of your GoHighLevel account to get more grace periods. So you can kind of extend your free trial by another 14 days with GoHighLevel, and you can find out how to do that in there. They might not allow you to do this anymore, but when I used to use it, they did, and that was years ago, so they might not do it anymore. So I would note down the date of your subscription so you can always renew before you renew, so you can apply for a grace period before you get billed. And let's start. So if you need some help with a sort of in-depth video on how to register for 10DLC and A2P, then you can just use this. You can use this link here. Okay. So I'm not going to open GoHighLevel and walk you through the step-by-step instructions because this video will end up being like 10 hours long. But what I am going to do is just sort of walk you through the screenshots. And if you want to have access to this, what you can do is you can go to school.com/academy. There'll be a link in the description. And you can download this resource and then you can go through it in your own time. But for now, I'm just going to blast through it so that you have an understanding of where you need to go and you can do this in your own time. So what you need to do before you set this up is you need a GoHighLevel account. You need a registered business with a legal business name, EIN or VAT number, business address, and a matching website domain. So you need a business, okay? You can't just do this if you have nothing. You need a registered company. A business email at your domain, a clear use case for texting, plus 2 to 3 sample messages that include your brand name and opt-out language, links to your website privacy policy and terms page, and these are required in the local A2P verification SOP for your file references, okay? It also notes that you must own a domain and have a officially registered business. So you basically, all you need is a registered business. So like with Companies House in the UK or LLC in America, whatever, or a BV in Netherlands or wherever the hell you are, I don't know. Then you need to have a domain that is like congruent with the name of your business. Then you also need to have an email to that domain, right? And if you want a privacy policy and terms pages, you can just literally ask ChatGPT to create these for you. That's not legal advice, by the way. Okay. So step 1 is to turn on LC phone system and buy local number. This is in GoHighLevel. So you want to log into GoHighLevel and go to the agency view, and you want to come to the agency view here. Then you want to go to settings. So you can see the settings down here in the bottom left-hand side. Go to phone integration, go to sub-account settings, click on the button, switch all sub-accounts to LC phone. Okay, so if you have a look, you can see this button here. Check agreement, click confirm, like this. Press on the ellipsis of your sub-account and press connect lead connector. Press that here. And when you're connected, it should look something like this. So it should just say managed by LC phone with a little tick. Switch to that sub-account. So you come up here in the bottom left-hand corner and navigate to the new sub-account. You go to the settings of that sub-account. So back to settings inside of the new sub-account. You go to the phone system, which is on the bottom left-hand side here. You go phone numbers and add a phone number like this. You want to click or pick the most relevant local number. So this is basically where what you're going to do is you kind of need to think about where you're going to be reaching out to at the beginning, and you want to have a state-specific number. So pick a state. If you're going to America, which you should do, pick a state to begin with and pick a number that everyone will recognize in that state. So what I used to do when I had my gym marketing agency and I did SMS Outreach, I would book like 100 calls a month with SMS. And what I would do is I started reaching out to people in the state of New York. And what I do is I registered for a 315 area code number. And that was a pretty popular area code for New York. And so the number was like 315, 215, something. And basically what that meant is when I was texting people in the state of New York, they would see a New York state local number. And what that would do is that would immediately become, they're like, oh, that seems local. If you text people in America from like a +44 UK number, or if you text people in the UK from a +971 UAE number, then you're fucked. You're not going to get results because people are going to think it's a scam. But when it seems local to them, you can have way better results. If you're texting people in the UK, you'd use a +44 mobile number, for example. But you want to be local. So select the number that is most local to the first state you're going to reach out to, or country, right? So brand registration preparation. So go to business profile in the settings section of your sub account like this. This is the zoomed out version, obviously, of the business profile section, and you want to fill this with all the accurate business information. So you're going to fill out a form here. It's pretty extensive, it's pretty long, but it shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes. So brand registration in GoHighLevel Trust Center. So what you want to do is in the same sub account, go to settings, okay? You want to go back to phone systems in the bottom left-hand corner and go to the Trust Center here, and you can see this right here. And you want to click Start A2P Verification, okay? And there'll be a button to press Start Registering. You want to fill out all the information as accurately as you can and just press Continue. Fill out all of your business details and then press Continue. And obviously, remember, when you fill out your business details here, all the information you submit must match the public records and your tax filings. Then you can fill out all the business address information and press Continue. Again, you know, these are all forms just to fill out. These are all very self-explanatory. Now, this is important. When you're finishing this form, it's going to ask you for low volume standard or high volume standard. You want to click low volume standard. Really crucial that you click this to demonstrate that you want to send low volume, because we're not Google, we're not some software company sending thousands of messages a day, right? Well, you might be eventually, but for now, this is low volume. This is if you were sending like 500,000 texts a day, okay? You're not. So when you're in low volume standard, you want to click low volume mixed, and you can see that just by selecting this here. And then what you're going to do is basically find a little option that says use case description. And you want to copy and paste the first example. And all you're going to do under the examples tab is you're going to use the same example that they give, but you're going to change the company name. So where it says here, company_name, to your company name. And what this basically does is it tells GoHighLevel, it tells Twilio, and it tells the carriers that you're complying with the examples that they want you to use for compliance, okay? And so all you want to do is change all of these examples here under use case description to your company name. Do not touch them, just change sample message 1, sample message 2, and this message here specifically to what they have, but with your company name. So for sample message 1, for that field, so you'll see that there's an option to put sample message 1 here and sample message 2 here. You click on examples, and all you're going to do is copy and paste the first example and replace it with your info. For sample message 2, do the same thing, copy the first example and replace with your calendar link, okay? So you should have a calendar link from Calendly or cal.com, whatever you're using, and you just put that in there, okay? And then you want to make sure that these two are selected and press continue. So you obviously want to make sure that you're selecting that the message will include an embed link, because there is a chance that, you know, you might be texting people with an embed link. And what people need to understand on the carrier end and on GoHighLevel end is that the embed link that you're using is commercially compliant, which could be like a Calendly link. So if you're including your Calendly link right now in the examples, then when you send a Calendly link or a cal.com link or whatever software you're using to schedule appointments, it's not like going to raise a red flag to the carriers, okay? And also it means that when you're registering for this A2P verification, application to person messaging, it means that you are effectively being compliant, and we need to do that, okay? If you put in like a link here to some like scammy website or a funnel, then you wouldn't get approved, but a calendar link is fine. So you want to make sure that these two are selected and press continue. So this message will include phone numbers and it will include an embed link. In the user consent section, you want to copy and paste the example of both fields and replace your information here. So you can see in the user consent section, you want to make sure you put all these examples in of, like the copy and paste ones from section 1 and 2 here. And then you just press submit, okay? And then you have to wait. So this is basically it. Like once you've submitted this, you're kind of done with the A2P verification. It can take a day or two, a couple of days, 2-3 days. You'll be notified when it is done. And if it fails, do not worry. It will tell you why. And then you can always troubleshoot why that happened over here at the high level support, the support portal. Okay. So you can just, you can use this and troubleshoot any problems that you have. And so that is the A2P verification. If you submit that in the way that I've just showed you, and if you want some more detailed instructions, there's this video here. If you do that, and you also do all of this, as far as abiding by GDPR compliance and TCPA compliance and stuff, and you don't text countries you can't text, and you're not like scamming people, then you will be fine. Now, one more little tip for the longevity of your numbers is you want to operate every message as if it's going to be reviewed by a human. Every text message you send, whether it's an opening two-liner, whether it's a reply, whether it's to call someone to book a call, imagine that a human being that works for the compliance department for the government is going to review that message. If you do that, you'll be fine. Be brief, be honest, offer an easy no, and document everything. Understand we're not trying to outsmart or beat the safety systems. We want to respect it and follow it so it does not stop us from reaching out. Keep this mindset for the longevity of your SMS system and you'll be fine. Because when you combine respectful messaging, proper A2P setup, and the disciplined opt-out handling, you're going to get strong response rates and healthy numbers. Just imagine just the easiest way, and this is so critical, just please understand this, like every single message you send will be reviewed by a human. Now, it won't actually, it's very unlikely that anything's reviewed by a human, but if you act as if that is true, and you sort of look at your message and think, if I was employed by the government looking for a reason to get this person in trouble, would I find a reason in this message? If the answer is yes, you need to amend the message, okay? So the two-liner, so your two-liner is the first impression of the brand and the message. So the two-liner is the initial message that we send to people to get them to book an appointment. And this is basically opening the conversation. It's the most important message we send because it gets the response, it gets the interest, it gets the foot in the door. Now, your two-liner must feel human, specific, and safe to reply to. The key here is safety. Because most people, when they receive an unsolicited text message from a random number, their brain conducts an automated sort of conditioned click-whir response of, is this person scamming me or not? Is it safe or is it not safe? That is the immediate thing that happens in someone's brain unconsciously, automatically. It's a safety response, right? Is this thing safe? So in the two-liner section, you need a template for the perfect opener, anti-scam guardrails, bad versus good examples, and niche-ready scripts and more. So there's some psychology behind getting like really impeccable two-liner response rates to be very good. And so if you understand what happens in the first 3 seconds of someone seeing your message, then you can write messages that feel natural and safe to reply to. And your text must pass these checkpoints. So the ultimate thing, the ultimate way to get results from a two-liner is to make the two-liner feel safe. And that's the only way I can really describe how to get good results with the two-liner. It needs to look, feel, and come across as safe. And what that basically means is it's not scamming, it's not vague, it's not like this hyper direct sort of aggressive thing, it's not like a sales pitch. It just feels safe to reply to. So the first question that happens in the first 3 seconds is the person will ask themselves unconsciously, is this a scam? Unknown numbers naturally trigger skepticism. So what you want to do is disarm early, identify yourself, apologize briefly for any interruption, state a specific and realistic reason, and ask a simple yes or no. And this combination consistently beats hypey or robotic introductions, okay? So we're not trying to go in with some like Jordan Belfort-esque like phone thing. No, we're just trying to be honest. Vague claims get ignored. To make the end result feel concrete, specificity feels real. You want to use location, counts, tangibility, or time-bound outcomes that are plausible. And an example pattern of these things could be, I have 2 roof estimates requests in Beaver Creek and Kettering. And I'll explain some examples of two-liners in a second. Don't worry, this is all very vague now. We're going to get examples. So curiosity sells here. Use curiosity without trickery. Short opener questions that could believably come from a prospect outperform long pitches. So for example, hey, is this John at Skyline Roofing? Are you open to just a few more jobs this month? Okay. And subconscious reaction. So people respond when the action is obvious. And you want to ask yes or no questions. So you want to suggest one specific time instead of just what works. You want to avoid links early because they feel spammy and add friction. And you want to make people feel stupid saying no. So honestly, the easiest way is if someone receives your text, if they ignore it and say no, they're going to feel like they're going to question their own intelligence, which is a really good way to get responses. Okay. So let's have a look at how to do this. So we want to avoid the scammy look. So no hype, no jargon, no big promises, no links in the opener. This is, I'm going to bold this. Do not put any links in your opening text. Okay. So no bit.ly links, no calendar links, none of that. Save links for the interested stage or after, or completely avoid links entirely, or book them by phone and text instead. So like, what I mean is like, you could say, are you free tomorrow at 1 or 2 p.m.? And then that person might be like, I can do 2 p.m. And you just book them in manually, right? So do apologize lightly for the interruption when appropriate. So you can be like, hey, just a quick message, or sorry for the text out of the blue, or sorry to interrupt your afternoon, or hope you're not too busy. You know, this reads as respectful, not robotic. So a great way to sort of get responses is just be a little bit apologetic. Like, you know, like, hey, John, Charlie here from, I don't know, like Sugarland Media. You know, sorry to text you out of the blue, blah, 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 right? So do say where you found the number if someone asks you. So some people will say like, hey, how did you get my number? Hey, where did you get my number? And you need to have an answer for them. You'll be like, oh, no worries, I found it on Google Maps, or I found it on this website, or I found it using, you know, this software here. This diffuses suspicion instantly, and you know, you don't want to be having a conversation with people where like they don't know how you got their number, if they ask, right? So the architecture of the two-liner message. So let's talk about this opening message and sort of how to actually write something that gets responses. So you want to keep it short, real, and concrete. 2 lines, nothing more. The second it breaks past like, you know, 2 lines on a Google Doc, it's too long. That's the rule. Anything longer than 2 lines on a Google Doc in size 11 font means it's too long, okay? And you need to get really good at compressing words as much as you can and using the simplest terms, but also the shortest words. So like, you know, you want to get into the habit here of looking at every word you use and asking yourself, what is a synonym of that word that is just shorter? What's the shortest way to say this, okay? So they need to be short, real, and concrete. So here's what each line should achieve. So line 1 is who you are and why you're texting, and line 2 is a specific outcome. And if you've got room, then you obviously, you know, have a little apology of some description. So the template below you can use and just basically swap the information out with your offer. This is the easiest template to use. You want to play around with it. Now, let me just tell you something right now. I don't know how many tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people are going to see this video. And I don't know how many tens of thousands of people are going to send thousands of text messages each. So I'm giving you this template, but I'm just going to tell you right now that if you copy and paste this directly, it will not work because everyone's going to do that. And you might think, oh, but no one is going to do that because you're telling people not to. Everyone's thinking what you're thinking right now. So don't be a bloody idiot. Make some amendments. Add your own spin. Do it your own unique way. Do not copy anything word for word or line for line because it won't give you results. Everyone's going to do the same thing. You're not smart, okay? I mean that in a nice way. Like, you're not smart by thinking, wait, but if everyone does their own thing, then I can just do this. It's like, that's not how it works, man. So, John, it's Charlie here from Imperium Acquisition. I have X number of opportunity type in place or time frame. Do you want me to blah, 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 blah? Do you want me to text you details? Do you want me to give you a quick call about it? Do you want me to send them over? Tip, small numbers and real places feel real. Big numbers and vague claims feel fake. So when you're making like your promise, or you're telling them that you can help them with something specific, what you want to learn to do is keep it small. You know, like if I was reaching out to a gym and, you know, if I said like, Steve, it's Charlie here from Fit Leads, which was my company name, or no, NorthFlow Consulting, you know, Steve, it's Charlie here from NorthFlow. I've got, you know, 15 people in the, I don't know, Kensington area that are looking for a free trial for a gym. Do you want me to introduce you to them? That's a believable thing. But it's not like, hey, John, it's Charlie here from NorthFlow Marketing Consultancy Limited. I've got a great way for you to get more members and it's cutting edge and amazing. You want to love it. It's too much. Just like, hey, Steve, it's Charlie here from NorthFlow. You know, I've got 4 guys that are looking to lose some weight and they're looking for a trial class. Do you want me to introduce them to you? That guy's you're gonna read that message and be like, it seems real because it's like they're in the area nearby to me. There's only a few of them. It's like, yeah, of course. If someone texts me that, like if someone texts me on, not that you'd ever find my phone number because I don't give that out online, but if someone texts me, said for Imperium, was like, like, hey Charlie, I've got like right now I'm looking for AI engineers, right, for my AI business, which I'm building. And if someone texts me saying like in the right time, saying like, hey Charlie, I've got 2 incredibly talented AI engineers that are looking for jobs right now, who love your brand. Do you want me to introduce you to them? I'm responding to that. I'm saying, yeah, sure, why not? Because it seems real. It seems legitimate. It's specific to me. It's a small number, and it just seems real. It's not like those recruiting texts you get that are like, hey, you can figure out how to make £2,000 a week passively. Like, nah. So a good example could be John, it's Emma from Skyline Leads. I have 2, I wouldn't even say leads here, to be honest. You want to avoid these buzzwords, like avoid consulting, avoid marketing, avoid leads. Try and like keep the company name vague. Don't go in with like appointments or leads, because it's just going to turn people off. As soon as someone sees like Skyline Leads, that's just another marketing agency. But John, it's Emma from Skyline. I have 2 roof estimate requests in Beaver Creek and Kettering. Do you want me to send them your way today? Even better, even better if you call it like Roof Buddy or something. It's like, hey John, it's Emma from Roof Buddy. It's like, oh, they might be like a company near me, or that it seems relevant to them, you know. It's like roof me or something like that, or that roof me. That actually sounds like you want to get your drink spiked and get in some trouble in a nightclub. But let's not call it roof me. But you know, you want to be like smart with your words. Don't come and say it's Emma from marketing, market boy, LTD consulting man. Come on, mate. Like, you be smarter than that. Be smarter than that. So be specific. You know, I have 2 roof estimate requests this week in Beaver Creek and Kettering. Do you want me to send them your way? How do you say no to that? It doesn't seem like a marketing agency. It doesn't seem like someone trying to sell you something. It just seems like, you know, this person's going to respond being like, sure, like what are their details? And then you can respond being like, hey, like we'll talk about how to respond in a bit. So like, hey Mark, Carson here. I have 3, maybe 4 manufacturing firms that need help staffing this week. Are you open to a quick call? Instead of like phrasing yourself as an agency or a consultant, you're phrasing them as kind of like a symbiotic partner, if that makes sense. So the reason this works is because you identify yourself, you anchor on a believable specific outcome, you end with a yes or no with zero thinking required, you sound human, and you trigger pain from the lead's current situation. So some bad versus good examples. So a bad example of a 2-liner would be, hey there, would you like a brand new way of getting consistent roofing jobs? We have a system that gets 10 new roofing jobs per month. Reply yes if you're interested, bit.ly/XYZ. Not going to work, right? Generic, hypey, link and opener, no identity, you're going to get in trouble. A good one could be, Mike, is Anna from Ridgeline here. I got 2 roof estimates in Kent today. Do you want me to send details? It wins because it identifies Anna, it's specific, it's a small believable number, it's local, it's a yes or no ask. And you could then say, sorry for texting from a random, from an unknown number. Because then he's like, shit, do I know Anna? Like, hang on, she's apologized. That just doesn't seem like a scam. It doesn't seem like a sales pitch even. It just seems like some person trying to text you who you might know. Bad 2-liner. I help businesses grow with cutting-edge strategies. When can we schedule a call? Vague outcome, high friction ask, sounds like a massive pitch. This is important, is you want to have low friction asks. And so what you'll notice here is, the ask here is, do you want me to send details? It's a simple yes. It's like, yeah, why you can send the details here, no worries. But when can we schedule a call? It's too much of a request. You know, you can make this request once they're a bit warmer. Chris Carson here at North Peak. I know 4 manufacturing firms, or you could be like, I'm friends with 4 manufacturing firms that need CNC ops starting Monday. Again, this is niche specific stuff, right? But let's say that Chris ran a CNC ops firm that worked with manufacturing companies. It's like, are you open to a quick call to match to see if they're a fit? This again, like, it is a high friction ask, but when you compare it, like, hey, do you want to have a quick call to see if they're a fit for you? Can I call you quickly to give you their details or something? It's niche context, number, time frame, yes or no, okay? Like another example of, let's say that you were like an online personal trainer and you work with executives. You know, you could be like, what could you say? You could be like, Sarah, Charlie here with ExecFit. Like I've got I've got this new way. How would you? I need some time to think about that. I've really dug myself a hole here. Yeah, you could be like, I found you on LinkedIn. And it looks like you're very busy. I've created a free workout plan that, you know, can help you obviously shrink this. Like I've created like a workout plan that helps incredibly stressed executives, like get really fit and healthy, even in spite of working really fast. Like if you want, I can send it over. Well, you're not going to say no to it. It's like, oh, sure, why not? Like if it speaks to them directly, it's like, you know, I help like, you know, females in like high stress, C-suite positions get super fit and healthy without sacrificing their work in just 10 minutes a day. Or you can figure out whatever language you want to use. But my point here is you should know your niche, you should know your market, and you want to compress what you want to say with these principles in 2 lines or less. So, you know, you need to understand your market pain points here, because a 2-liner offer, or, you know, it's not really an offer, but a 2-liner message only really converts when it connects pain that stems from a real problem that feels relevant and solvable. So Chris, for example, here might need help getting more manufacturing firms that need CNC ops so he can sell them. And so, you know, you want to map your top 3 pains and align your customers' outcome to one of them. And here are some examples of pain points for each industry. So, you know, if you're doing B2B local services, their pains of feast or famine job flow, waste of time on tire kicking leads, slow response to lost deals. You've got some offer angles here. Here's some home improvement ones, so seasonal gaps. Like, you know, you could text them being like, hey John, you know, with winter coming up, you know, you might slow down on air conditioning services. I can help you get like 3 a week. Do you want me to send them over to you? Something like that. I don't know. Junk leads from platforms, real estate, inconsistent listings, staffing, recruiting, agencies, B2B services. You can sort of read these depending on what niche you're in. But here are some 2-liners that would work. Mike is Anna at Ridgeline, 2 roof estimates in Kent today. Do you want to text the details? Remodeling. Jake, it's Sarah here, testing a dating campaign. I got 3 kitchen remodeling inquiries. Want me to send them? This is a really good thing to do, because what this does is it makes it look like you're like some sort of like other trade. And, you know, it's like, hey Jake, it's Sarah here. I'm just testing a campaign in Dayton and I got 3 kitchen remodel inquiries. Do you want to split them or something like that? You know? Real estate. Hey Nina, David with Oak Street. I can line up 3 seller appointments in Frisco this week. They'll need open houses or something. Do you want me to send details? Or staffing. Chris, it's Carson here. 3 to 4 manufacturing firms need CNC ops starting Monday in my network. Are you open to a quick call? Like, come on, like it worked, like in my network. Or you could even say like, let's just script this out. Like, hey Chris, this is Carson. I was playing golf with a guy who owns a manufacturing firm. And he needs CNC ops people. Can I call you to introduce? Or something like that. Now, obviously, you're going to have to figure out like how the fuck you're going to handle this once you call them up, right? Because there needs to be an element of truth to this. Or, you know, you can say, oh, look, he texted me earlier to say he's actually found someone, but I talk to people all the time who own manufacturing firms, and I wanted to sort of, you know, maybe network with you so I can just send them to you as and when. You could even say like, look, if I could generate these guys consistently and you could pay every time I introduce you to someone that was qualified, is that something you'd be interested in? He'd be like, yeah, of course, like, sure, no worries. And you can then be like, okay, well, look, man, like, what if we do it like this? How about we schedule a quick call for like tomorrow, and I can talk you through how we go about getting them, like what you'd need in terms of like qualification parameters, and what you'd expect from me, and we can sort of negotiate all out, talk numbers. How does that sound? How are you free at 3 p.m.? Yeah, okay, man. Yeah, I'll call you at 3 tomorrow, and I'll see you between now and then if maybe I can find 1 or 2 people for you. When you do it like that, you don't seem like a marketing agency. You don't feel like a consultant. It's like a mutually beneficial sort of thing. So, you know, you want to get creative with this. So like Laura, this is Josh from North Peak. I could send you 3 trial leads in Plano today for free. If they're solid, we can chat after. How does that sound? Evan, it's pre or it's shift. We cut no shows with live SMS follow-ups. Do you want to try it free for 7 days on afternoon slots? Are you up for it? You know, because a lot of softwares, they have low show rates with afternoon. So like a lot of problems come from afternoon slots for software companies because their show rate around lunchtime can dip for whatever reason, right? And so, you know, by bringing this in, it's just another little pain point. So there are 2 ways to go about the 2-liner, okay? You can go about them with the free value first approach, or you can go about them with the direct to pitch approach. But let's go a bit deeper because these 2 different frames will both work depending on what niche you're in. And so what we need to be careful with is making sure that we pick the right one. So a frame is basically the strategy behind the messaging. You're still saying the same thing, but you know, like you can see here, for example, like you've got the free value first here, but then you've kind of got a bit more of a direct approach here. I much prefer direct pitch, but depending on your niche, you should test both, okay? So free value first. The definition is to give a small slice of a result up front. It earns trust and then formalizes. When to use it is when the market's been burned, or you can deliver a quick win. So for example, I have 2 opportunities in the blah, blah, blah area. I can send them to you for free. If they're solid, we can talk about doing it 5-7 days a week. Do you want them? The rules here is you need to cap volume and time frame. So you can't send too much of the result, and the time frame needs to be pretty quick because you want your sales cycle to be elapsing very soon. Because if you say like, oh, I can do this for a month, like you're not going to get any clients. It's going to be too long. It should require minimal cooperation, and you need to follow up on the same day with a quick call. So direct pitch. I prefer this because you go straight to a paid outcome with a small commitment. You use it when demand is high, proof is strong, or prep is required. So if you've got lots of social proof and you're sort of more established, you can do this. If you're just starting, then maybe the free value will work better. For example, we book 8 to 12 appointments a month in niche. If I show you this week's calendar and it fits, can we pencil in 15 minutes? The key rule here is staying specific by niche and geography. Also avoiding inflated claims, and you need to move to call as fast as possible. Like if someone responds to you, like if you text someone like, "Hey John, it's Charlie here. Like I've got a couple of guys in the Sugarland area that desperately want to get in shape. They're corporate guys. Do you want me to send them over? Like whatever, like if that person responds, you need to be on them within a minute or 2. Otherwise, it will go cold. People forget, they do. So if you're unsure on how to choose your frame, just test it. If you're like, I don't know, do I think that the direct approach or the free value approach will work better? The simple answer is just test it. You want to send 50 free value texts and 50 direct text pitched to similar lists. Track interest, track show rates, but more importantly, track paid conversions. Because the interesting thing here is, let's say that you got 10 meetings from free value texts, but you got 5 meetings from direct pitch texts. The free value text, you might have got double the meetings, but you might only sign 1 client. But from the direct pitch texts, you might have got 5 meetings, but signed 4 clients. And so you want to, in the initial stages of your tracking, you're obviously going to focus on replies and positive responses and booked appointments. However, you want to make sure that you're making the decision based off conversions and clients actually sign, because that's all, at the end of the day, that's what you want, right? So some final words on the 2-liner. We're not trying to write poetry here, right? It's a believable micro-promise that positions you as some symbiotic partner tied to a pain that the market already feels. Identify yourself, make a specific promise you can deliver on today, ask for a yes or no, and then call fast and fulfill on the promise. If you get these things right, the rest of your SMS system will become effortless. So before moving on, write your offer line, draft some one-liners. Just have some fun with this. Like draft out 4 or 5 of these. We're going to test them. You're not going to get this bang on right with a 5% conversion rate to appointment the first time around. Cut out every extra word until it's 2 short lines. You might start with a paragraph, but just chip away until it's literally 2 lines. Okay. So the next thing is, if someone doesn't respond to your 2-liner, which can happen a lot, then we need to basically have follow-ups to send to that person if they don't respond. And so what we're going to do is we're going to build a simple micro follow-up chain of 2 messages, okay? So if the prospect does not reply to the 2-liner, then we send them 2 follow-ups. Now, when they don't reply, it's rarely a hard no. It's usually just one of the following 4 things. either they didn't trust the number because you're a stranger texting them, so their brain defaults to this idea of it just being a spam message. Maybe they were busy. SMS can get read instantly, but the action can be delayed based on what they want to do. Their intention might have been to get back to you, but they just didn't. Your offer wasn't clear or relatable, meaning they didn't connect the message or something to something relevant. They wanted to see if you'd follow up, because persistence signals legitimacy, and scammers never follow up politely. So, I do this if people email me and I like the look of what they offer. I'll just leave them to see if they follow up with me, because if they do, then I'm like, okay, you're actually legit. The point of following up isn't to annoy, it's to move a cold brain. Sorry, I've got an itchy nose here, guys. Awful. I've got an itchy nose. It's to move a cold brain from skepticism to curiosity to conversation. You're building micro trust. So if we send follow-up 1 2 hours after the two-liner was sent, and follow-up 2 22 hours after the first follow-up was sent, then we're going to get results. And so the way that we sort of structure out the timeline of our follow-up is we'll send the two-liner now, and then 2 to 3 hours from now, if they don't respond, we'll follow up. After that follow-up 1, if they haven't responded after, say, 24 hours, we'll send follow-up 2. We don't send follow-up 2 24 hours immediately after follow-up 1 because it looks too spammy, because it will have the same timestamp, and as well, obviously, we reached out to that person at that time, they didn't respond before, which indicates they might not have been available. So we just do it an hour or two either side. So you want to get inspired by the ones below and make 2 of your own. So, hey John, not sure if my last text went through, just want to circulate back. We've been helping a few blah, blah, blah around blah, blah, blah to get blah, 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 worth a quick chat, okay? Like, hey John, just finished up helping another blah, blah, blah in city to bring measurable result. Thought you're in some space, you open to be sending details. 3, should I keep you posted if we get more lead projects this week? Hey, I wanted to make sure my last message didn't get lost. Hey, I'm not sure I've got my message, just want to see if you're still taking on clients right now. I prefer 3, 4, and 5 because it keeps that sort of vague curiosity. Again, the objective here isn't to come across as like a marketing agency or a salesperson, right? So I much prefer 3, 4, and 5 and keeping it vague. But you can write your own, just draft up 2, it's very simple. So interested text before calling them. So timing is really crucial here because basically what we need to do now is, now that we've got our initial 2-liner written, and now that we've got our 2 follow-up messages written, we're going to start sending them. Now, obviously, I'm going to show you how to send them and do the first batch soon. But you need to be prepared for how to deal with replies, because you're going to get replies. And so timing is crucial. If you wait even a few hours before replying, positive reply rates and book calls drop dramatically. So you want to follow this framework to create your interested text reply. So step 1 is to match their tone. So you want to keep it conversational, calm, and human. Avoid sounding robotic or over-enthusiastic. So, just act like a fucking human. Like, imagine if you're messaging a friend and you're saying, like, let's say it's someone that you know kind of well, but not well enough to be weird with them. And let's say that you've invited them to a dinner party and they've said yes. What you'd maybe say in response is like, awesome, glad to hear that. Or sweet, like, great, see you soon, or something. So the examples, you want to just keep it simple. Just don't come across as some weird fucking robotic, sneaky salesperson, So awesome, glad to hear it. Perfect, happy to hear you're open to it. Sounds good, appreciate the reply. Warmth builds trust, but you don't want to oversell. You don't want to be too friendly or overselling it. You just want to match their tone. If they're direct, be a little direct back. Don't just go in with like loads of exclamation marks and emojis. It will seem weird. So step 2 is confirm context if necessary. So remind them of who you are and what you mentioned earlier. And this will help them reconnect the dots. So, I help roofing companies like yours get these jobs through the system. On the topic of getting you these extra jobs, or I'm the one who texted you earlier about helping local agents bring in more seller leads. Again, when they reply, like, they're probably going to be able to scroll up and see your initial message, right? So you don't necessarily need to give that much context, but you kind of get the point. It removes confusion and reestablishes familiarity. Move towards the next step. Your goal is to keep a secure, small next step. Your goal is to secure a small next step. It's been a long morning. Keep it low friction. So, for example, are you free to tomorrow if I send some time to connect over Zoom? Keep them engaged inside the thread. So again, like, keep them locked in. We're not trying to take them off platform. Keep them in. And then step 4 is to close the text loop. So once they confirm interest, respond with clarity and gratitude. So got it, I'll send you the calendar link until you can pick what works best. Or awesome, looking forward to showing you how it works. Like, when someone responds positively or takes the next step in our sales pipeline or sales stage, just little words of affirmation. Not that it matters that much to them. They don't need to be validated by you. Most people don't. But by keeping that positivity and they're like, hey, that's amazing. Hey, that's awesome. I'm really happy to hear that. Like people, it's just reward, like little cookies, little verbal cookies, if that makes sense, to keep people moving through your sales pipeline. So example conversation. So let's say that you sent your initial 2-liner, they didn't respond, you sent a follow-up. And then they responded saying, I'd be open to hearing more. You could respond saying, awesome, I'm glad to hear you're interested in getting a few extra jobs. Are you free tomorrow afternoon for a quick overview call? If you experience interest and objection at the same time, like for example, sure, but what's the price? We'll cover how to formulate rebuttals in the doc. So what I'm going to do, for now, that's kind of how to reply. It's really simple. It's basically, if someone has an open-ended positive reply, match their tone, confirm context if you need to, move to the next step as soon as possible and close the loop and just be friendly, okay? However, if they start giving you objections or asking questions, there's a little way to handle that, and I'm going to show you how to do that later on in the document. I've got like a whole section dedicated to objection handling and rebuttals for how to deal with people who are kicking up a fuss about booking, right? Now, as soon as you send the text message, you should call them immediately. Immediately. In fact, let's put this in black and white. So as soon as you send this, like, hey, I'm glad to hear this, do you want to have a quick call? Bang, on the phone, within a minute, just call them immediately. And what you can then do is you're way more likely to get a call scheduled if you call them back, okay? So mindset before the call. So we're going to walk through actually how to make this call, because your question would naturally be, well, if I'm going to call them, how do I open them? What do I say? How do I manage it? So let's talk about that. So before you call them, your mindset is to be casual, not corporate. Be calm and confident. The call should be no more than 5 minutes long, and you want to focus on clarity, curiosity, and control. So the 5-part framework to building your script for calling is very simple. First of all, you've got the opener to re-establish context and reduce tension. Hey John, it's Charlie. We were just texting earlier about this. You got a quick second? So, the call comes up on their phone, they answer the call, and immediately you're telling them who you are and just reminding them of why you're calling them. So the intent statement is to make it clear that this isn't a sales pitch and set the tone. So I just wanted to see if what we're doing even fits what you've got going on. If it does, can we set up a proper call to go over it? Then you've got the qualifier and the pain trigger. So this is to actually identify if they're a fit and gather light context to tailor the next step and build pain as fuel to book them. So here you're just going to be like, okay, well, do you mind if I ask you 2 to 3 short, quick questions that just understand that we can actually help you in the long term? So what are you currently doing? What are your results? And are you open to improvement? So like, are you currently using Google Ads to get more clients? How's that been going for you? Are you focused on growing right now or staying steady? So again, I can't give you the questions to ask here because these are going to be niche dependent, but just 3 very simple, quick questions that can be asked to qualify this person as a fit for you and just get a little bit of pain rooted up. So the value bridge. So connect what they said to the value you provide. For example, okay, got it, that makes sense. What we've been doing is helping their type of business with. We've built a system that gets specific result without common frustration, and I wanted to walk you through that on a short call. And then all you've got to do is then book in the call. This is really simple stuff. This isn't some like crazy, wild, like mental, coercive jujitsu shit. This is just, hey, it's me calling about our texts. I wanted to just see if what we're doing is even a fit for you. Can I ask you a couple of quick questions? Brilliant. Well, that's what we do. Do you want to have a call? It's that simple. Are you free today or would tomorrow morning work better? Now, if you can, always try and book them in for later today. If you can't do it for later today, tomorrow morning. If you can't do it tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon. Your show rate will be so much higher the sooner you book them in, the more immediately. Do not book them in for 3 days from now. Do not book them in for 4 days from now. They will not show up. They won't care. Today. If you can do today, do it today. If not, tomorrow morning. If not, the morning, the afternoon of tomorrow. If they can't do that, then you can always just book them in for 2 or 3 days from now and send them some reminders and make them some calls beforehand and stuff. Then you just confirm, perfect, I'll lock it in for this time, send over an invite so it's on your schedule. And then using each of these stages, you can just write out your first draft of your script, and you can obviously change uncomfortable things. So this is just the framework. It's just 5 simple steps: open, intent, qualify, value bridge, and book the call. And you can use these frameworks to kind of just write your own script. It's very simple stuff. So the follow-up system overview. So what you need to do is realize that if someone responds positively to you and you call them but they don't answer, or you call them but they're busy, and you text them and they don't answer. So like, at this point they're interested, they've indicated that they are interested in working with you. You need to work really, really fucking hard to get that person to eventually book a call. Because as soon as someone shows intent or interest, you kind of have permission to just go on them. Like calling them every day, text them every day. And let's talk about this follow-up overview. Because, for cold, we're only following up twice because we don't want to take the piss. But when they're warm, we can follow up like 8-9 times. This is one of the most crucial, most ignored parts of running an SMS outreach system that actually books calls in. I promise you that 80% of the appointments you book will come after you followed up on warm people 5+ times, 5 to 8 times. That's when most of your calls will be booked. So most operators stop too early. They get a warm reply, make one call, then forget to follow up properly. That's the reason that most people's SMS systems don't work. What separates a great SMS system with a bad one is how you manage interested but unbooked leads and how you manage the follow-ups. Think of it as a sequence spread over a couple of weeks, mixed using an SMS and call system. So you want to send a total of 8+ text follow-ups spread across 2 weeks. So what we do here is we send 8 texts, but we're doing it over 2 weeks. So that's like a 14-day elapsement and you've got 8 messages to send. So roughly you'll text them every other day. And you do the same thing with calling them. So you want a total of 8+ call follow-ups spread across 2 weeks. Again, you're going to call them every other day. The reason we do this, the pure reason we do this is because people are going to respond to you positively. And then you might try and call them or text them back to book them in. They're going to get busy. They might end up thinking it's a scam. They might just be in the middle of something. And so your entire goal here is to touch base with this person 16 times over 2 weeks. And the entire objective of this is to get your phone number familiar with their brain. That's it. That's all it is it's phone number familiarity. Because if you call let's say you call someone, 3 or 4 times over the course of a week and you've texted them 3 or 4 times, they now recognize that number and they now trust it to some degree because they're familiar. They still might not answer, they still might not reply, but eventually after enough persistence and familiarity, they will just book. They just will. It might sound extreme to do this, to follow up with them, 16 times effectively on call and follow and text combined, but it's how you get results. So what you want to do now is write your 8+ text follow-ups below, and you can use it below as inspiration. So these follow-ups, they need to be one line and they need to be really straightforward and blunt and to the point. So, hey John, I just tried giving you a quick ring, but no answer. Can you call back later today or tomorrow? Are you still interested? Are you still available for a quick chat? I'm sure you must be busy. When shall I call you back? You free tomorrow? Hey John, just wanted to follow up with a real quick. Are you still going to chat about this service? I can make time tomorrow or today. Hey John, just wanted to close the loop on the chat from the day. Should I keep a spot open for you this week or touch base later? This is as simple as you need to keep it. Like 1-2 lines max, super simple. Like, hey John, just bumping up this text here. Hey John, just refer, and you can just keep doing that. And that's pretty much all you've got to do. Don't overcomplicate your follow-up. Don't start getting weird with testimonials and case studies and marketing messages and all these shit weird things. Just simple follow-ups. Now the cool follow-up script is, hey John, I'm Charlie. We texted the other day about helping your business get this result. It'll be easier to run you through how it works on a quick call. It takes 10 minutes. Would later today or tomorrow be good for you? If they say no, you can find out why and handle it like an objection, and we'll be talking more about handling objections in a bit in the video. Again, if they don't answer, just leave a voicemail. Hey John, it's Charlie, just calling you back regarding our text correspondence about helping you get more jobs in the catering space. Call me back when you can, or just text me when to call you. Every other day for 2 weeks. If you do that like 7-8 times over 2 weeks, you're going to get so many people responding and booking in. So follow-up rules for warm but silent leads. Be friendly but not needy. Acknowledge context. Never restart the pitch because they already showed interest in the pitch. And end every text with an easy choice. So does today or tomorrow work better? Like what we're trying to do is today or tomorrow, today or tomorrow, today or tomorrow, today or tomorrow. Like that's all we're trying to get out of them with the follow-up. Today or tomorrow, today or tomorrow. We're getting intent on time frame, today or tomorrow. If they never responded after your sequence, just wait 2 to 3 weeks. And then what you can do is add them to reactivation workflow. So there are going to be people that just slip through the cracks and never respond or never answer. If that happens, just wait 2 weeks, wait 3 weeks, add them to a reactivation workflow. And then every month, what you can do at the end of every month is reactivate all of your old leads with simple follow-ups. Like, hey, John, just following up from last month. Are you still open to chat about the offer? And what this does is you'll over time build a couple of thousands, tens of thousands of people that never responded but were interested at some point, and you can reactivate them. And every time you reactivate them, you can book like 30, 40 calls, right? Reactivations convert really well because, again, they're familiar and you're following up after time passes, and you're following up on a sequence of texts that have already elapsed. So people can see the previous text and they can see all the calls you sent them. So that's that. So that's basically messaging. That's all the messaging that you need. Now we need to go ahead and set up the tech. But really, that's pretty much it, guys. You've got your opening two-liner. You've got your 2 cold follow-ups off the back of the opening two-liner. You've got your call template to give them a call if they respond positively within a minute or 2. And then you've got your you've got the response to, like, you know what to say to people if they reply to you. And then you've got your 8-step follow-up sequence to text them back. And that's all you need to set up. And so what you should do right now, after this video is finished, you've gone through the tech setup, is go ahead after the video and just set all those things up, set the tech up, and then you're basically good to go. And those are the exact frameworks and messages that I've personally used that have worked for me and my 4,000 other clients as well. So now we're going to go ahead and go through some tech setup for building GoHighLevel. Again, I'm not going to walk you through screen by screen instructions on how to do this because it's pretty straightforward. And again, you can just go to school.com/academy and download this resource and follow the instructions on the screen. It's pretty simple. So we need to set up GoHighLevel to do this, to send the text. So what you want to do is, first of all, set the default outbound number inside of your sub account. So obviously at this point, you need to make sure that the A2P verification has been accepted, and that can take a couple of days. Okay, so we've obviously set up our A2P verification, but now we need to set the default outbound number. So you go to the sub account that you set A2P verification up in, and if you only have one number in the sub account, you can skip this stage because you might only have one number, but if you've got multiple numbers, then you need to set a default one. So you go to settings, phone systems, click on the 3 dots next to the number and set as default. And you can give each number a clear label like Dayton, Ohio 1, right? And so you can label your numbers and organize your numbers accordingly to like the country or the city you're reaching out to or the state you're reaching out to. Most of you are only going to have one number because you're beginning, but eventually when you have multiple numbers, you're going to need multiple. You want to make sure A2P is verified, so you can just confirm that each number shows as registered or was approved, and this obviously should have been completed in the previous stage. So tag setup. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some prospect tagging. So on your sub account, go to settings and tags and click on the plus new tag button, and you can see this on the bottom left hand side here, and you can see the new tag. So what we're doing here, a tag is basically something inside of GoHighLevel that allows you to organize your prospects. And so there's really 3 tags. We're going to have interested, booked, and not interested, okay? And what this allows you to do at any given time, let's say you've got 1,000 prospects and all of them are at different stages of your pipeline and all of them at different levels of intent. What you want to be able to do is tag prospects inside of the GoHighLevel CRM so that you can determine who you need to follow up on and when, and managing your follow-ups, and who you've booked so you don't follow up on them again, who's not interested so you don't reach back out to them, etc., etc. So it's good practice to import leads before you create a tag that will remind you of how your last lead batch was sourced, and this is really good to monitor lead quality. So I'm going to show you how to find leads in a second as well, so don't worry about that. So these tags can later be used to further automate your system. So for example, as soon as you add a tag to a contact or lead, it can trigger a workflow automation by moving them from the pipeline. So there's lots of cool things you can do in GoHighLevel as far as automations are concerned. So we're going to walk through a really simple workflow creation to make sure that your tags and your pipelines are organized properly. So in the main page of your sub account, you can go to automations like this. Then you can go to workflow, create workflow and start from scratch. So you just do this here. Create workflow. And you want to name it Cold SMS Drip Workflow. Then you don't need to add a trigger, but you do need to add an action. So search SMS and then select Send SMS as the action that is starting the workflow. And then you want to name the action 2-liner and type the first 2-liner message you want to test and then click Save Action. Pretty simple stuff. You can see the screen here. Then you click Add Action again and search up Wait and add the wait step. So A, set action name, wait 2 hours, set duration to 2 hours, click Save Action, click Add Action, Send SMS, name it Follow-up 1, type your Follow-up 1 line, Save Action. And these are kind of pretty detailed instructions. You'll figure this out. It's pretty easy and you can follow the on-screen instructions here. So click Add Action and then Add Wait Step, set duration to 22 hours, set action name, wait 22 hours, set duration 22 hours, click Save Action and save the workflow bullet. So this is for the opening 2-liner, right? Because we've got our 22-hour follow-up 2 and our 2-hour follow-up 1. That's all we're doing here. It might seem confusing, but again, just play around with GoHighLevel for an hour or two and you'll figure this out, no problem. And then what you want to do is click on the settings section and go back to workflow settings here. And then you want to do, you want to adjust these settings inside the panel. So allow re-entry should be off. Stop on response should be turning on. The account time zone should be selected as the account time zone, obviously. Time window should be set the hours of when it should send. Remember, your time zone is different to your prospects. Send the details, add your full name in the from name section. From number, should be your number purchased you're using to send, okay? And daily sending limit should be 100 to 150 texts per day, and click Save Settings, and that's it. So that's pretty simple. Now, what you're gonna wanna do as well is you're gonna wanna build a workflow specifically for your warm, interested people. We're not gonna do that here because you can do all of that manually. But once you've got the hang of using GoHighLevel, like my purpose and intent here is just getting you set up and sending text so you can start getting positive replies and booking people in. There is more advanced layers to this that I'm not going to cover because you'll figure that out as you become more familiar with GoHighLevel, okay? So you can build workflows that basically automatically follow up on people, automatically call people, leave voicemail drops, etc. But again, for the sake of simplicity and keeping this thing moving and helping you just book a call a day, we don't need to do that. We don't need to automate that. You can do it manually, okay? So, sending a cold SMS batch step by step. So this part assumes you already have leads. So you don't have leads yet. I know that because I haven't walked you through it. I'm going to show you how to source leads a bit later and also how to add them to the contact section. But once you have your leads, you can come back to this section so you know how to send, but I'm going to give you the technical instructions whilst we're on the topic of tech, right? So to send a batch, all you do is go to the sub account that you're in that's been verified with the phone numbers. In the top left drop down, you want to select the sub account that contains the leads you want to send. Then you want to go to contacts in the left sidebar in contacts. Filters of the batch you want, so you can just use the filters at the top to locate your leads that you want to enter in your system. And so you'll see this little section up here for more filters. And you want to filter by state, city, tag, or date to narrow further. So date added is usually the best way to filter people to do a blast, because obviously, like, if you're adding a big batch today, then you want to reach out to those people today. And again, you want to figure out how to spread that over some time. And then just click apply. Again, you could do this by city, by state, you can do it by tag, you can tag them on the way in. There's lots of levels to how you use GoHighLevel to send SMS. We're keeping it real simple. I'm giving you the broad strokes. You can figure out the details in your own time based on your niche and your data. So select the leads, and then you can select all the filtered leads here. So you can just click this button to select them all based on, like, you know, who you've tagged. Then you can click on add to automation. So this is this button here. Okay, this is the automation button. Add the name to the batch add the name of the batch of leads. So like you could want to call it, like, you know, Dayton or Sugarland or Interested if you're doing a database reactivation. In automation, type choose workflow and then select the workflow you created to send the SMS. And this is the one we created in the previous step. So remember, you created a workflow just a second ago, or you would have done, right? And you want to grab that workflow and add it to the to this batch, okay? Select send in drip mode. So this is really important. You want to drip it. You don't want to send all at once. You want to drip it, okay? And what you can do is you can fill in all the drip information. So this is the drip information you need to fill in. You pick a start date and time in your time zone, and then set it to now 30 minutes. So it's going to start in 30 minutes time, because you're still going to be in GoHighLevel by the time you've clicked send. So you want to just give yourself 30 minutes to get ready so you can start responding to people, okay? Number of messages per batch is 1, and repeat after 5 minutes. So to calculate how long it will take you to send all the SMS messages, you can calculate how many leads you added and multiply that by 5, and that's how many minutes it will take to send them all, okay? So again, we're not trying to send, like, you know, 100 messages in one go here. We're doing it one at a time, okay? Just drip, 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 drip. If you try and send like 30 every 10 minutes, you're going to get blocked for spam. But if you send 1 every 5 minutes, it's going to take way more time. And you know, by doing that, it ultimately allows us to send, what would that even be, like 12 an hour, pretty much. You know, and you can do like 2 every 5 minutes if you want to send lots and lots. But this is the thing. This is where you need to have more phone numbers, more infrastructure, etc., etc. But if you send a text, 12 texts every hour, you're going to be in a pretty good spot. You know, if you can just send 12 every hour, you know, that means you're going to be sending, like, every 10 hours, like 112 texts, like, throughout the entire day. That's a sweet spot to be, right? If you want to send more than that, you need multiple numbers, etc. Okay. So we're just going to have it dripping, select Monday to Friday. And what this will do is once you've done this is you take this big lead list, say you've got 10,000 leads, you just set it to drip Monday to Friday between certain times. So you don't want to send in the evening or at night because people won't respond. So you want to start at like 9 a.m. and maybe finish at like 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. or whatever. Start at 7 a.m. and finish at 7 p.m. whatever. And you just put a massive list in and you just let it drip. And every minute, this thing's just going to send a text. And as long as you're on your phone and you're active throughout the day, you're going to be there to just pick up these responses as and when they come in. And you want to select Monday to Friday and obviously the time in which you want to send. And this thing, all you then have to do is just keep it topped up with leads and just keep adding new leads and it's just going to drip, drip, drip. Just little consistencies every 5 minutes, just new text. And then every hour you might just receive a response, and then you're on that every hour, you're on it, you're calling it. And then every couple of hours you book an appointment and it's just drip, 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 just slow, steady dripping, okay? Then we add to automation. So as soon as you click add to automation, the leads will be queued up. And in bulk actions, you can see the progress. So in bulk actions, which you'll be able to see at the top here, I think, it will show you, you'll see on the screen the progress. Now, again, there's loads of other workflow types. There are endless possibilities to further automate parts of this system. You can look around and play with what you can do with workflows. Like, for example, you can add an action step to the SMS sending workflow that adds a tag to send before sending the two-liner. When this tag is triggered, other workflows, or when this tag is added, it can trigger other workflows to add leads to the pipeline. So this is recommended. So this is advanced. We're not going to get into the tech too much for the simplicity of this video, but what you can do is as soon as someone is sent a text, you should tag them as sent. And then what that does is it then adds another lead to the workflow. So you get this consistent sort of like pipeline, if that makes sense. You can also have another new workflow that triggers when you add an interested tag. So the action can move the contact or the lead to the next stage of your pipeline and start following up on people. So you've got that 8-step follow-up sequence, 8 steps. And if someone responds, you can trigger a response there. And you can also integrate all of this with Zapier to connect with more. You can spend probably the next 20 hours watching GoHighLevel automation videos. And I would recommend you do that. But again, my job here is to help you book a call a day and just get you set up and get you, in motion for the sake of it. And I don't want to bog you down in endless tech setup because you can handle all of this stuff once you're just sending and booking calls, okay? So final decision makers. So this is really crucial because all of this is wasted and none of this makes sense if you haven't got the ability to source leads, okay? So once niche and location have been selected, we need to find owners. We need to find people to reach out to. The rule is simple for lead sourcing: shit in, shit out. You need to source quality leads that are actually good and viable. And even if you outreach with a high volume and a good offer and great case studies, you're still not going to be able to convert ideal leads into clients if you're not messaging ideal leads in the first place. So you can have, let's just change that. You can have like amazing copy. You can have insane volume and a great offer, but if you're reaching out to shitty leads, you're not going to get results. So as far as volume is concerned, you want to select your sending schedule based on how many leads you want to send a day, 200 a day, whatever. And you want to always have 2 weeks of leads ready at all times, okay? It's really critical here that you're constantly backlogged of 2 weeks. And you're constantly uploading leads to this system and that you've got 2 weeks at least. And you can calculate that by, again, you're sending one every 5 minutes. So, if you're doing that for 10 hours a day, how many are you sending? How many leads do you need every day? Constantly having a 2-week backlog. And if you keep that 2-week backlog alive, if anything happens, let's say you get sick or go on holiday for a week, you still have a backlog of a week. That makes sense. And you want to just, again, guys, the key here is just keeping this thing consistent. It's not about having these big ups and downs or doing anything crazy. It's about being consistent. And the only way to achieve consistency is to have high margin of lead volume. So database lead sourcing. So there's a couple of paid systems that we can use to source phone numbers. And there's also a free system that we're going to talk about how to use as well, depending on what your budget is. So database lead sourcing. So first of all, you want to set up Apollo. So go to apollo.io and sign up. You want to verify your email and then log in. You can complete the onboarding, add your name and company, skip the sequence, blah, blah, blah. You don't need to pay for a plan because I've got a surprise that will kill for all the costs for you here, okay? So build a basic Apollo search. So the dashboard looks like this. You want to go to people search on the left-hand side here. Select position or seniority, okay? You just select this in here. Select the location, so the country, the state, or the city. Set industry and or keywords, okay? So like if you're in roofing or in real estate. Other fields are optional: company size, revenue, technologies, and keywords. I'd keep this blank if I were you, unless you need to. Review, preview and refine, scan, tentative results, click on company. If you see the wrong buyer, just adjust in accordance with what's lacking and play around with it. This is simple to use, guys. Apollo's so easy to use once you set it up. If it looks good, just save the search URL. And when the results look right, copy the URL from the browser and you'll use this link to export. Now, the other thing you can use is Scrape a City. So what you want to do is basically use this third-party tool that isn't embedded into Apollo, but we use it to export leads from Apollo without having to pay for a plan. So you can actually export leads from Apollo without paying for leads. Now, I don't know how much longer this is going to be available because I'm making this video and Apollo probably won't like this. But if you use Scrape a City, you can literally scrape the leads out of Apollo without paying for it. Again, by the time you go to use it, you might not have the option to do this, right? It's there and it's the best thing for you, so I'm telling you. So sign up at scrapeacity.com, create an account, keep Apollo open and log in the same browser. Start an export like this from a search link by clicking on Apollo Scraper. So you've got Apollo Scraper here on Scrape a City. You can click on it, add your search URL and the amount you want to extract, and then just press Run Scrape, and the status will be like this. Then you should receive it in your email in a couple of days. It can take a day or two to come through. Another software you can use is to export Apollo, this dashboard here. You make an SMS ready file, and that's how it works. So that's pretty much how to source, is just use Apollo and then combine that with Scrape a City, and it's way more cost effective. There are other like lead generation softwares. You can hire people to scrape leads, but that's the simplest way to do it, and those are the instructions, okay? So what you want to do is make an SMS ready file and keep only essentials for texting, and you'll receive the file in your email, and you can upload to Google Drive and add it as a spreadsheet. So what you will then want to do is basically inside of Google Drive is make a folder called leads, and then in leads you want to have every month, you want to have a year, and in the year you want to have every month. So you'd have like January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. And then in each month you have the sort of big scrape, if that makes sense. And you can name it based on like the city or however you decided to source it. Then what you want to do is create a spreadsheet in Google Drive inside of the month with a name with these columns: first name, last name, company, phone, city, state, country. And this will be used for later, obviously in uploading these leads to GoHighLevel, okay? Now, if the above method is too expensive, i.e. you don't want to pay for Apollo or Scrape a City or whatever, there's a free method you can use for scraping Google Maps, okay? And what you can do is you can use this, and I'm not going to run through this because it's pretty self-explanatory, but you can run through this in your own time. You can obviously find this resource in school.com/academy, and you can go through this if you want to use Google Maps to scrape people. It's really simple. It's really easy. Like, I'm not going to run through it because it's literally just very self-explanatory, but you can download that and just check it out if you want. So final check before importing leads. So this is really important because of data hygiene. Before you import your leads, okay, you want to do a niche check. So if you use a software or a lead source, then make sure that you check the 30 leads at the beginning, middle, and end of your list to make sure that they are in your niche. So like, look, the first 30 leads, the middle 30 leads, and the last 30 leads, just go through them all, check the websites, check the phone numbers, and just make sure that they are actually relevant to you, because sometimes Apollo can just kind of go a little bit haywire. Landline and mobile check. So you want to use clearoutphone.io, which is a software that you can basically log into. The pricing is pretty favorable, in my opinion. You pay for what you use, basically, and I'd recommend that you definitely use this, because otherwise you're not going to be able to send messages. If you're trying to text landlines, it's going to cost you too much money and get you banned. So you want to use clearoutphone.io and create an account, log in and click add list, and all you've got to do is add the list, drag and drop your CSV file from Apollo or from Google Maps in here. If you use Google Maps, you can obviously just download your Google Sheets thing as a CSV file, click on my lists, start validation, wait for it to finish, and then just download the results file. Then click on custom, and make sure that you, when it says custom list here, make sure that you are clicking valid phone numbers and also remove duplicates. So before you download the result, it will make sure it only gives you valid phone numbers and removes duplicates. If you don't do that, you're going to get into some shit. This is the data hygiene thing I was talking about earlier. So then you want to open the CSV by uploading it to Google Drive as a sheet. So you basically just go to Google Sheets, you go File, and there's not an option here to do it, but you can just, I think it's actually file and import. You have the option to import up here or something like that. So you just import your leads in, select all the columns, then you click on the funnel button. So you'll see this little, you don't think you can see it on Google Docs, you can't, but on Google Sheets, you click on this little ellipsis here, click on the funnel button, and then you press on the 3 lines of the clear out phone line type column and then press clear. So you can see this here. So, you click the funnel button. Okay, let me make this really clear. So clear out phone line type column. There's columns for different, you're gonna have clear out phone for all sorts of things, but specifically for the line type, you wanna go to you wanna highlight that, click on the 3 dots and click on the funnel. And then what you wanna do is click on the funnel and press clear, okay? It's pretty simple. And then you wanna select mobile only from this column, copy all the columns and rows, click on add sheet at the bottom and paste all the mobiles onto the new sheet, format the rows and add columns like below, and then import them to GoHighLevel. Again, this seems like horribly advanced tech. It's not. It's only because I'm kind of blasting through it for the sake of keeping this video moving. You can download this resource and take just literally 10 minutes and you'll figure this out. It's not tricky. But what I'm not doing is going and clicking and then coming back and clicking again, because it's just going to drive you mad, and you can just figure this out by downloading the resource. It's way easier. So that's pretty much it. So what you want to do is format it like that, so that you've cleaned your list out and you've got it all sorted in there. And then what you want to do is add it to GoHighLevel. So you want to make sure the list is formatted properly as per the instructions above here, and then upload it to GoHighLevel. And these are essential columns that GoHighLevel will use to recognize for contact imports. So you need to have first name, last name, full name, okay? Really, you only need the first name, but it's nice to have these if you want to use the data for other things down the line. Phone, email, company name, website, if you have it, it's great. City and state, okay? Obviously not state if you're not working in America. So the phone format should always include the country code. So you need to format the data to include the country code. No spaces, no parentheses or dashes. So when you're formatting your data, you can't just put it in like this, right? You can't have a dash. It needs to just be +1 to the country code, or if it was the UK, for example, it would be like +4475 blah 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 blah. That's not my phone number, by the way. If you did this, it wouldn't work. No spaces. We do not want spaces. We need to just have it all as one number with the country code at the start. So you're going to have to format all your data accordingly to that format. It might take some time, but it's really worth doing, because if you don't do this, then you're going to mess it all up. Okay. So text fields, remove any emojis, remove any special characters or quotation marks. So as well, in your data, if it's sourced in like random like quotation marks or like random like emojis or something, they need to be cleaned and formatted out as well. Any blanks, you can just leave unused fields empty. Do not fill any blanks with NA, because GoHighLevel will read NA as text. So if you put someone's surname in as N/A, and you text them and you use their surname, it would say, hey, John, N/A. He'd be like, what the fuck? So for column headers, you want to use standard names exactly as written. So capitalization won't matter, but spelling does. Avoid extra spaces in header names. Same as the CSV, comma separated variables once formatted. You just use a CSV file. And these checks should always be done before submitting GoHighLevel or sending software. So do not submit your leads. Do not import your leads until you've formatted them properly, formatted the text fields, got rid of any like blank shit, and have the column headers written exactly as like standard names written exactly as here. These are the column headers, okay? They have to look like this. Spelling matters. If you fuck up this, you're going to fuck it all up, okay? So importing leads to GoHighLevel. So this is simple. What you want to do is go to GoHighLevel and go to the sub account that we're using that you've set up. Click on contacts and go to import contacts like this. Then you start the import by just making sure you select contacts only and then click on next. Drag and drop your file and click next, and then you'll see a 2-column mapping screen. So on the left side, you'll see your CSV headers, and on the right side, you'll see the GoHighLevel fields, okay? What you want to do is map each one carefully. So it's really crucial here that you map your CSV header to your spreadsheet header, so the column headers, so full name, first name, email, phone number, etc. You need to map it to the GoHighLevel field. So what you're going to see is GoHighLevel will give you all of the headers that it has, and you need to match your headers up with their headers. If you match your first name up with the last name, then it will start sending the first name as the last name, okay? So match them up here, crucial. It should map automatically, but just look it over and make sure that it's done properly. Double check the phone column because this is what your SMS depends on. So don't fuck up the SMS thing and do not fuck up the first name thing. Click next when finished and then just press apply tags and you'll just identify the lead source this way. And you'll see a field to add tags to all important contacts. So you could tag them as, you know, the city or the state or even the date in which you imported them, okay? Pretty simple. Then you use this mark to just explain where the list came from, like Google Maps, Apollo, or batch 25, you know, 1104. And adding tags here helps you later filter, segment, or trigger workflows. You can click next, review summary, and start import. So once you've done all this, you can just review it all, check it all, and then you can just press start import. And then basically you wait for it to process, and this will run in the background. It will take it can take some time. It can take like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on how many you're processing. These are typical processing times for how many contacts you're adding. And obviously you want to make sure you can keep, you can probably close GoHighLevel whilst it processes, but I wouldn't recommend it. I'd keep it open. Verify the upload. Once it finishes, go back to contacts, sort by date added or filtered by your new tag. And then what you can then do is open a few random records to confirm the phone numbers are correct, so that you've got the proper format, you know, for the phone numbers. The names and company fields need to be clean. The custom fields and tags are properly. If anything looks wrong here, what you want to do is delete all the contacts and just re-import them with the correct mappings. It's just, I know that it seems extreme, but again, check your leads on the way in and check your leads on the way out. And just that way, the import is so crucial. If you mess that up, it doesn't matter how good the system is, you won't get any meetings. So managing the system is pretty simple. It's a really tight step-by-step playbook to sort of run your system once it's live. So once you've imported your leads, you can then come back up here to the instructions that I gave you on how to actually sort of, here we are, how to actually launch the thing. You can come in here and follow the instructions to send the blast. And just send them every 5 minutes and you're going to be good. Okay, so let's talk about managing the system. We need a step-by-step sort of simple playbook to run this system so that you can actually get leads every day, appointments every single day from the outreach. Now, the main thing is making sure that you add enough leads every day for the full day of outreach. And it really is about staying 2 weeks ahead in terms of the volume you need to have. And so as far as the hourly loop is concerned, you're going to be having conversations in GoHighLevel. And so where you're going to be managing the messages and where you're actually going to be communicating with people back and forward and calling them from is high level directly. And this is where you can manage all the conversations and see any incoming messages. And so what you can do in the sub account that you're sending from, in the left sidebar menu, is simply go to conversations. And in the conversations tab, you can filter people by tags, read receipts, follow-ups, and more. You can stay organized. What I like to do is, if I'm following up on people, on warm prospects, I would tag them by the follow-up stage at which they're at. And what that means is that I can then go through my follow-ups day by day, every day, to see when they last received the follow-up and which follow-up they need to receive next. You're going to have your own style of doing this, and so I'll let you decide how you want to tag people like that. But inside of the conversations, what you can do is you can see your unread conversations. All your conversations, you're going to spend most of your time in the unread section, right? But at the end of the day, you're going to be following up here as well. And so you want to triage every new lead in under 5 minutes. Positive or curious, message, call, and then tag them as a positive reply. And you want to move them to the stage interested in your pipeline if set up. Now, if they're not interested, you can send us a like closeout, tag not interested, and mark do not disturb. So what you can do inside of the messaging platform, if you click on a prospect, is there'll be a little button that allows you to click do not disturb. And what that means is you'll never text them again. Any future campaigns won't reach out to them and you won't get in trouble. Opt-out keyword, system sets do not disturb as well. So you can have like an opt-out keyword like type no if you're not interested, but we're not doing that, okay? So send interested follow-ups. So send your follow-ups by text and call the leads that should be followed up with. Obviously we need to do that every day. Keep track of all your interested leads in this sheet. So I would suggest just using this spreadsheet here. You can go file and make your own copy. And what you can do is every time someone responds positively, you can track all of your follow-ups in here. So you've got follow-up 1 text, you've got follow-up 1 call, you've got follow-up 2 text, follow-up 2 call, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It goes all the way up to number 8. And this way you can just keep a log of all the follow-ups that you've done on this person and what needs to be done and when and what dates you've done it and why and blah, 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 blah. Okay? Simple spreadsheet. You can just download that and make a copy. Now, as soon as there is a positive reply added to the information of the lead on the above, as soon as there is a positive reply, add the info of the lead to the sheet above. So as soon as they reply positively, you pop them in here and then they basically enter your manual follow-up chain, okay? Now follow-up is obviously text and this is a call follow-up. Every day you want to follow up. But once you've done the follow-ups, you can just basically mark them accordingly. So like, let's say for example, I'm like, I can't fill this one out actually because it's on my other account, but you just put their number in here. You can put their name in here as well. When they reply positively, whether or not they've booked yet, you can just select this, and then obviously you're away with your follow-ups. Pretty simple. So the next thing to do, the third thing to be doing every day, is to keep the system sending and healthy. So check workflow executions every day. So always calculate how much you're going to send per day, and you always want to check the live sending in the enrollment history of your workflow automation. And so you can go to your workflow automation and click enrollment history here. And if executions are empty, then you're out of leads. And if lots of things are failing to send, then you need to check the number health or the timing window. Okay, and that's pretty much it. That's all you need to do every day, is pretty much just do those three things. You need to come in and triage your new leads and converse with them and call them. You need to send interested follow-ups every single day, and you also need to just make sure that your workflow executions are firing properly. And you might not think to do that every day, the workflow executions thing, but it is actually really important. Okay. Now the next sort of the sort of final piece of the puzzle is handling objections, because the only sort of bottleneck that you're going to experience or have from your SMS sending is when you get a positive reply and someone says like, oh, is this like a scam, or what's the price, or all these things. And so what we need to do is understand how to handle these objections and get into it. The first thing to understand about any objection handling, whether it's SMS or anything, is that an objection isn't rejection, it's hesitation. Okay? All it is the person wants to believe it, but they're not allowing themselves to because they feel like they're not safe. Fundamentally, that's what it comes down to, okay? And so, what the prospect's basically saying is, I'm not convinced yet, but there is room for me to be convinced if you string together the right line of words that will change my mind. It's them protecting their time, their money, their trust, and this is all very natural human instincts. You shouldn't hold it against people or judge them for having objections, because it's a very normal human instinct to have them. So in SMS Outreach, objections show up in short forms like how much, what exactly do you do, not interested, and who is this? Each one simply means they don't yet see clarity, safety, or value. Your job is to replace confusion with clarity, and fear and with trust, okay? So all it is people just a bit confused. It doesn't mean that they hate you, it doesn't mean they're rejecting you, or that they want you to go and die in a hole. It just means that they're not quite sure what's going on, or they're not quite clear on exactly what it is yet. So in the sections below, we will cover how to handle objections, and this can be used both when on call or by a text. So every objection comes from basically, honestly, 5 things. Either they lack trust, they don't know or don't trust you yet. They lack clarity, so they don't fully understand what you're actually offering or what you're selling. They lack timing, which means they're busy or not ready to understand or to engage. They lack the need, which means they think they're fine without you, or they fear cost or risk, which means they assume it's expensive or not worth it. Once you identify the root of the objection, you'll know why they said it and how to respond. And so, the core philosophy to overcoming any objection, as I've kind of explained here, is that all strong objection handlings follows a simple sequence. You validate, you clarify, and you redirect. So you validate their perspective to disarm tension, you clarify by asking a question to find the truth behind their words, and you redirect to the next logical step, usually a quick call. You're not fighting resistance, you're calmly guiding through it, okay? And that's basically what your whole objection handling thing is. And bearing in mind that most of this objection handling will be done on the phone, right? And so it's when you call people and they answer and they're kind of a bit like apprehensive or confused. That's when you're handling objections. You will do this to some degree, and to a lot of the time it will be on text, but most of the time it will be on calls, because that's when it's sort of action required in the moment, if that makes sense. So a couple of universal rules for objection handling across all stages is, first of all, never argue. Never let your ego get involved. Agreement will build a bridge, but argument will just burn it. Okay? Always acknowledge. So start every reply with understanding, not defense. Ask, don't tell. So use open questions to re-engage them. Be human. So just drop formal sales talk and just sound like a real person. Handle once. Handle once and then move on. So don't chase, address and redirect. Don't continuously bring the objection back into the conversation, because you'll just mess it up. And see it as interest. Understand that if they object, it means they're thinking and they're trying to move towards a deal. That's a good thing, right? And so what I've got for you here is sort of the objection bank and how to handle objections, and sort of a script process that you can use to handle them. So for example, the objection might be, who is this and how did you get my number? The root is a lack of trust, and the mindset is they're protecting themselves. So the response you could give is, hey, that's totally fair. My name's Charlie. I work with a few local roofing companies here in Phoenix. I found your info on Google Maps and wanted to see if you're on taking new jobs right now. Is there any chance you could handle new jobs? Again, this isn't rocket science. We're not trying to use neurolinguistic programming and NLP and all these fancy, psychological tactics. It's just like, hey, yeah, dude, I completely get it. You've got no idea who I am. Let me introduce myself. This is what I do, and I found you here, and I'm just calling to see if you're open to new jobs. Is there any chance that you're open to new jobs? That's it. And then the other objection could be not interested or we're good. And again, this comes back to the root of it being a lack of timing, or they have no need. And maybe they just haven't seen enough context to care yet. So the response could be, hey, that's all good. I completely understand. Are you just not looking to grow right now? You're not pushing, you're reopening conversations to find the truth. This is a little bit of a tricky one because, they're shutting you down immediately. So you kind of want to ask them a pretty open-ended question that makes them feel a bit silly by answering it like that. But you could say like, hey, dude, I completely understand. I haven't given you any reason to be interested yet. And as far as you're concerned, I'm just some slimy salesperson that has my own interest at heart, right? And then you ask them that and they'll just be disarmed, like, yeah, to be fair, yeah, kind of. It's like, well, look, man, I don't want to get off on the wrong foot and I want to make sure that we, build a relationship if there is anything here. Is there any way that I can get 10 minutes of your time tomorrow just to explain exactly how it works? And if it's a waste of time, you're more than welcome to tell me to just completely fuck off. Something like that. You might want to be a little bit more delicate with the way you word it, but you can disarm them like this. Too busy, lack of timing. You want to respect their time, but hold the thread. Hey, no worries. Like, what's usually a better time for you, mornings or afternoons, so I can check back then? Like, hey, John, I completely understand you're too busy. Honestly, I can imagine you're probably working 12 hours a day right now, and the last thing you need is some salesperson talking your ear off. With that said, like, my job is to try and take work off your plate. So how about we chat tomorrow morning or afternoon? What will be better? Simple. Just clean, to the point. You get the point. We already have someone doing this. So lack of perceived need. Like, it makes sense. Most of the people already have someone. We just usually plug the gaps, blah, blah, blah. So if someone said to me, Charlie, like, honestly, like, I don't need your help. We already have someone doing this. I'd be like, hey man, well, honestly, I can tell you that everyone I talk to already has someone. Every goal has a keeper, right? And then you sort of shut up and they'll be like, oh yeah, okay, every goal has a keeper. But yeah, that's true. And then you say, well, look, my job is to make sure that your keeper's not letting any goals through. How about we hop on a call and I can just do an overview of your process to make sure there's absolutely nothing you miss. There's no obligation to buy anything. There's no obligation to switch. I just want to see if I can add any value where I can and make sure that your process is truly as watertight as you might think. How do you say no to that? Sure. Bear in mind, guys, I've done 10,000 hours of sales calls, so I have this, I can come up with these objections pretty quickly, right? Send me more information. I'd be like, hey, yeah, you can say like, sure, I'm happy to. That would make more sense if I explain it to you, blah, blah, blah. You can use that objection, but what I would like to say, if someone said, send me more information, I'd be like, look, man, I am always down to send you information and I'm so grateful that you're asking for more. However, I want to save you having to basically read the holy book of stuff on what we do, and I want to make sure it's all relevant to your business. If you can spare me literally all of 5 minutes tomorrow, I can qualify you instantaneously and you'll know for absolute certainty and sure if this is the right fit for you there and then. How does that sound? Oh no, dude, just send me an email. Hey man, I can send you an email. No problem with that at all. I'm really glad you want the information. However, we both know that email just isn't where business is going to get done. How about we just have a quick 5 minutes? Simple. Yeah. What exactly do you do or what's your service? Here they're kind of intrigued, but they're unsure of what you're offering. And you can basically just be brief, specific, and result focused. You never want to send a long paragraph. Good question. I help roofing companies get 5-10 new lead jobs a week without ads or door knocking. I can explain how we do it in 2 minutes if you want me to call you real quick. If someone said like, what exactly do you do or what's your service? I would reply just being like, hey man, I'm happy to explain. Can I give you a quick call in 2 minutes? That's it, pretty much. How much does it cost? What's the price? There's a couple of examples here, like, well, it depends on how many leads or jobs you'd want. Can I ask you roughly how many you're willing to take on right now? You're just redirecting into qualification at this point. Totally fair question. Price differs for everyone, but most clients actually make it back within the first month to week. I can break it down on a quick call. I would say something like, dude, price varies. It can be anywhere between like $100 a month to $10,000 a month, depending on your demand and what you need. For fear of, giving you the completely wrong number, can we hop on a call just to make sure I'm accurate? Simple, When to let go. So if the prospect is rude, uninterested, or clearly outside your target demographic, just tag them as do not contact and move on. You have to protect your mental health. Mental health? Number health. You have to protect your number health and your mental energy. So do not follow up with people, do not call people, do not message people if they've explicitly expressed, I don't want to talk to you anymore. SMS is volume based, so play the long game. So in terms of creating your replies, obviously you're going to be replying to people, dealing with warm prospects, like trying to text them back to get them to book a call. There's a sort of three-step, 3R formula that you can remember to sort of make sure your replies are as effective as possible. Simple mental framework for turning objections into opportunities. So instead of memorizing scripts, you'll learn how to think in structure, and this keeps your responses natural, fast, and effective. So the 3 R's are recognize, relate, and redirect. So recognize is to validate the perspective. So this is again for objection handling, right? So it's another sort of technique. The first step is to acknowledge what they've said without resistance. Like, hey man, dude, I get that. If you say, no, don't worry about that, then just we've already got someone doing this, I'm not really that interested. Dude, I already knew that, man. I can see that you're already running the ads. I'm calling you anyway because I'm absolutely near death certain that we can do a better job for a lower price. And I'd feel guilty for not explaining that to you. So just give me 5 minutes. Is that too much to ask? If you come into the objection with your ego up and resistance and your arms are flying, like, you're not going to work. When people object, they're testing whether or not you'll respect their opinion or fight it. And recognition disarms tension and shows you're listening. What it sounds like, dude, that's totally fair. Yeah, that makes complete sense. I completely get where you're coming from. That's a good point. A lot of people say that thing at first. Dude, honestly, man, like I get what you're saying. I've heard that about 10 times today, and I'm really glad you brought it up. Just you validate it. You're just recognizing it. You're not agreeing they're right. You're agreeing their concern is reasonable. Recognition builds safety, and without it, everything else fails. So then you relate. Once you recognize their concern, you show them they're not alone. Relating connects you emotionally and reduces the pressure they feel. It tells them that other smart people asked this too, and they ended up seeing the value. It's like, dude, honestly, most of my best clients said the exact same thing before this was how it worked. Yeah, honestly, man, like a lot of people say that, and it's a really good sign that you're thinking it through. Or honestly, dude, I'd probably say the exact same thing in your shoes. Oh, dude, I'm not interested. Honestly, man, if someone called me out of the blue and told me they were going to get me more jobs, I would tell them to fuck off in a heartbeat. So I completely get where you're coming from. Like, hand on heart, I completely get it. Like, trust me. However, blah, 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 blah. And then you go into your rebuttal. And then redirect is, now that they feel heard and understood, it's time to lead them forward. This is where most people fail, and they stop relating instead of guiding. So redirection just basically keeps the conversation alive and moves it towards action, a call, or a qualifying question, or a booking. So if someone said, dude, I'm not interested, I don't want more jobs, we're like, look, man, again, I completely hear you, because if I was in your shoes and some random British dude called me out of the blue saying you get me more jobs, I'd probably tell him to fuck off, and you're being more polite than I would be. With that said, like, if you were to get more jobs, is there a specific kind that you would want? You just sort of redirect them in. You've recognized, you've related, and now you've redirected. And that's all it really is when it comes to these sort of mini little objection handling pockets. It's like, oh man, like, honestly, I'm just super busy right now. Honestly, man, I was expecting that. I know you're super busy, which is why I am the world's fastest talker when it comes to sales. So if you give me like literally 1 minute, I can break this down if it's a fit for you or not. What sort of jobs are you looking for, and what sort of catchment area do you cover? And it's just like that. You've been recognized, you've been related, you've been redirected. Okay, it just keeps the conversation moving, right? And again, we're not trying to book a call until we've got them out. We've got the redirection out of the way. It's like, I'm not interested. No worries, man, but let's book a call anyway. No, you've got to sort of warm them up a little bit. It's like, oh, dude, like, honestly, I tried marketing agencies before, they all suck. Honestly, man, like, I'm really glad you've said that, because I think I've heard that about 10 times today. And I know they suck. I guess you've probably had an experience before where you paid them a couple of grand and then they just sent you leads that just were shitty, or you just didn't get any volume, right? And they kept making these promises. Is that what happened? Yeah, honestly, man, like, I trust me, I get it. I've seen it. We have so many clients that have been through the exact same thing. All I want to do is just avoid that from happening. So could you tell me what was it about the leads that you got from those agencies that really weren't a fit? The objection's gone. This person's now engaging, they're qualifying. It's like, oh, well, these leads, they just didn't have the money. Got it. So basically what you were saying is you were being sent people who, from my understanding, just didn't have the financial resources to buy the level of service you want to provide. Yeah, exactly. Dude, that happens all the time, these agencies. Right, okay. So, and then you just keep the conversation moving. So what it sounds like, I can break it down for you in 2 minutes. It really depends what you're trying to accomplish, etc., etc. The redirect path always points back to discovery. You just basically retake control, but softly, and it keeps them focused on them and their goals, not your service. So these are some examples of like objections. This is a full example. You can just pause to read this. I think I've done enough on the objection handling of sort of riffing off here, so you can sort of have a look at that. And objection handling, as you continue outreaching, it's not a one-time skill. You're not going to be able to learn to do it like fluently immediately. It's an ongoing optimization process. Every response, every question, every no thanks is feedback from the market, and you get to practice your ability to handle objections. When tracked properly, objections become one of your best data sources for improving scripts, offers, and conversation flow. So what I'd recommend you do is keep an objection log. So keep a simple spreadsheet and just track all the objections you receive. At the end of the day, you should be recording all your calls inside of GoHighLevel, because you can call from GoHighLevel, right? And you want to track every objection you receive. And for each campaign or batch of text, record the objection type, how many times it occurred, what your response was, what the outcome was, and you can become iterative and scientific to get good at handling these objections. You also want to gather enough data before you change anything. So, you want to have set rebuttals for objections, but you don't want to change them around and fuck around with them too much until you've tested them at least 30, 50 times. So this is real simple, and we're going to get this done in like 5 minutes. Tracking and optimization. So predictability is built on measurement. When you know your numbers, you capture the language that wins, you improve it every week, your SMS system will stop being guesswork and start being a machine. You need to learn how to track metrics. And all of this is basically visualized by this very straightforward spreadsheet. So every day you want to track how many messages you've sent, how many replies you got, how many interested replies you got, and how many appointments you booked. And that is it. And you want to go ahead here and go to file and make a copy. And you can basically just have this sheet and duplicate it out here. Here's an example, this isn't a live example, but you can just go ahead and just duplicate it like this for each month. And then that way you can have every month of the year tracked and sent. That way you can track your response rate to check your data health, your positive response rate and your appointment booking rate, and also the rate between positive reply and appointment booking rate to see the effectiveness of your follow-ups. Does that make sense? Obviously, you're going to use these metrics to sort of optimize and fine-tune your system. So you want to systematically improve each part of your process based on the data. Again, though, just track it. By tracking your data, you'll become more rational, more logical, and you'll be able to optimize based on it. And obviously, it creates this sort of feedback loop where you send messages, collect responses, analyze data, adjust, send again, and get better results, and it goes around and around. So the core metrics are pretty simple. These are all represented as a percentage. So your reply rate is obviously how many people reply. Positive reply rate is how many people reply positively to the two-liner. Booking rate is how many people book a call. And then you've got your positive reply rate to booked appointment rate, which is basically the measurement between someone replying positively and someone booking. And it's crucial that you understand that, because that can be a bottleneck for your system. As far as key performance indicators go, your positive reply rate should be at least 5%. Your appointment booking rate overall should be at least 2%. And your positive reply rate to appointment book rate should be 40%. Again, we take a 1% ABR here. That will be fine. But 2% is kind of what you want, right? 1% should be for planning. But your positive reply to appointment booking rate should be at least 40%. So if someone responds positively, there should be a 40% chance over the next 2 weeks during your 16-cycle follow-up process that you get them booked in. And remember to scale. You don't need these exact numbers. Even if it's half of what I mentioned, you can scale, okay? In the early days, I literally got to 20. Dude, my first agency, I was getting like 20 appointments a month with a 0.5% ABR. I just solved the problem through volume. And as far as the testing flow goes, this is just scientific method, right? But your first test should begin after outreaching for a week. And you want to just measure what the first week's been like, measure all the metrics in the sheet here, how many you've sent, how many replies you've had, how many interests, and how many booking, et cetera, et cetera. And after you collect metrics for a full week, you can identify where the biggest drop-off was. Now, the thing about doing it after a week is your follow-up sequence is 2 weeks long. And so what we find with these systems is you get this latency where you might sense someone might reply positively today, but you're not going to see the true measure and effect of your follow-up sequence for 2 weeks. And so don't be surprised if the first month of doing this takes a little bit of time, because it really can take 2 weeks to get that pipeline flowing, okay? And pretty much it's just simple, just hypothesize, measure, and decide. But I'm just going to run through this. Optimization is not a one-off, it's just a rhythm. Test one variable at a time, keep what improves book calls per 100 sends, and never stop testing. And as far as troubleshooting goes, there's only really a few reasons that this system will break. The first is poor deliverability. This is where messages aren't landing, high failed or high undelivered rates. This happens when you're using unverified numbers or non-A2P verified numbers. It happens when you send too much volume per number, when you use spammy or repetitive templates. It happens when you use no warm-up period for new numbers, and when you're not like sending like one every 5 minutes. The fix is to only use A2P registered numbers, keep volume under 150 texts per day per number, rotate 3 to 5 numbers per campaign, use unique message variations, so just change a couple of words every few sends, every few batches, warm new numbers for 7 to 10 days with low volume, and that's it. That fixes deliverability. Also, Sending to landlines or invalid numbers will fuck you up. Text will never arrive because they can't receive SMS through landline. This happens because the list wasn't verified. You're using scraped data without checking the line type. The fix here is obviously to use clear out phone or another validator. Keep only numbers labeled mobile or wireless. Remove landline, toll-free, and invalid landlines. Overwriting the phone format. This happens obviously because you didn't format your phone numbers correctly. You've got to remove dashes, spaces, and use the +1 country code or whatever country code you're using with no spaces, format like this. The next one is no speed to lead system. You get positive replies, but you don't respond past that. If you're not responding to people within like 10 minutes, you're getting half the appointments, okay? So you want to be monitoring conversations live, on hand to respond immediately, effectively, as soon as you can. And you want to turn on notify or reply and GoHighLevel work settings. So what you want to do in GoHighLevel is turn on notifications. You can get the app and then you can get notified when you see a reply. And then it'll be on your phone all the time and you can just call people from your phone inside of GoHighLevel using the same phone number that you text them on. And that's pretty simple. No metrics tracking. I mean, this is obvious. Like if you're not tracking your metrics, like you have no idea of what's going on and you're going to be in deep trouble. Changing too many variables at once. So getting emotional, overhauling the whole process, like changing everything and panicking and just fucking around, changing niche, changing message, changing follow-up process. Just, you need to be scientific, testing one variable at a time. If you're not cleaning duplicates or remeshing old leads, this is also going to get you. So if you're reaching out to the same people again, or you're sending duplicate messages, you're not going to get responses, and it's going to skew your data. And you're going to get instant DNC requests as well, which you really do not want. Do not contact requests, that stands for, by the way. Ignoring opt-out. So if someone says stop and you still message them, then you're fucking up your campaign because you're risking your number. So don't do that. No consistency. So again, just do it every single day, consistently, over and over again. And sending without warm for compliance. So this is basically just like thinking you can get away with running around the TCPA laws or the GDPR laws. You can, okay? And that, my friends, is it. That is the sort of full free course on everything you need to know to get set up to book upwards of 20 to 30 to 100 plus meetings per month with SMS. So we've gotten through quite a lot of stuff here. And obviously, as I've mentioned throughout the video a few times, this resource is available if you go to school.com/academy, and you can create an account there and get access to this entire resource, all the spreadsheets and all the other resources. If you enjoyed this video, then please subscribe to this channel because I fully intend to make more content like this. And, if you subscribe, I'm going to upload, long form guides like this as frequently as I can to help you build acquisition infrastructure to get more clients organically. And so if you subscribe, and you'll be notified to future guides as they come out. But that's everything. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next video or over at some point in the academy. Take care.